The UK Armed Forces men's and women's football teams are here in the heart of the East Midlands at Corn FC here in Leicestershire to take on the Irish Defence Forces in the Friendship Trophy matches. Well, these matches, of course, have been going for some time. 4 years ago, the two teams here for the women met, and this is what happened. Well, in a moment we'll be hearing the Irish view on today's game. But first of all, the UK Armed Forces team, who've just got back from Holland, where they played the Dutch forces in the President's Cup, unfortunately losing that game 5-4 on penalties. But they have been training ahead of today's game.
Return to the start for you. Your first game with UCAF was against the Irish, the last time you played them, and now you play them again, what, 4 years later? A lot has changed for UCAF. Do you think a lot will have changed for the Irish as well?
Yeah, we've said that this week. We can't take it on what it was last time. That was a few years ago. So a couple of years, obviously, COVID were missing, so that we were planning to play them. It's a relationship that, I'll be honest, pay respect to obviously Nick DeLong in terms of the friendship and relationship that he has, and he actually instigated the fixture between us. That, you know, it needed to happen. So as soon as I came in position, he very much instigated that with the team out there, and I think you'll agree it's a relationship that I've seen with the men that absolutely should be there with the women too. It's an excellent relationship, and yeah, who knows what they bring in terms of that their team could have changed. They were missing 2 or 3 on the day last time as well, so we can't take that lightly at all.
Widows is in behind here, she is onside, and this to cap off a brilliant Navy night. Jade Widows has a hat-trick.
Had a really good night. It was just really good fun, and that's, I think the whole attitude was actually, let's just go out and have fun, and yeah, we certainly did. Yeah, it's really good to be back with the squad. I missed it because I've been away with training, so I missed the November meet, but really good, and the camp is really lively. We've got a fantastic facility at Wolves, and everyone is just digging out. It's just going to be a really hard competition for a spot.
It doesn't happen very often, but the UCAF men's and women's team playing at the same place on the same day. Bit of a UCAF event now.
It's been something that the committee and the team have wanted to do. It's a challenge. 2 games in one day at the same venue. So let's see how it runs, and hopefully we can host how we should, especially to good friends being the Irish.
Well, I'm talking then to Casey McQuillan, who is the manager of the Irish Defence Forces women's team. Casey, welcome to sunny Leicestershire, and I'm sure that you and the team are really looking forward to this match.
Yeah, we've been looking forward to this match for a couple of weeks now and preparing for it. It's a great occasion for us. You know, we've been looked after well by the UK Armed Forces and by Carl. So yeah, to build up to the game has been good.
I know you'll be expecting a tough encounter with our UK Forces women's team.
Yeah, I think we're rightly the underdogs for it, you know, but we're using this to benchmark ourselves for going forward. We're a new entity. We've been together before, but we're under new management now and we're reassessing new players. So this will be a benchmark because we rate this team very highly. So however we perform today will be what we move on from after this.
How much experience do you have, you know, maybe from previous matches?
None. We actually have very few girls playing. What we have is we great athletes and great sports people, but we have not many playing at a high level within soccer. So they would play, at home they would play Gaelic, they would play camogie and basketball and stuff like that. So we've been working on bringing the team skills they have into this game and into soccer and getting them into that, you know. But we have some, I won't say we have none, but as a whole, it's a mixture of sports.
Well, these games are really important, obviously, for developing, you know, great relations between the British military and the Irish military teams as well. But they're very competitive, aren't they?
Yeah, 100%. We're built out of the same thing. You know, we want to win no matter what. You know, and no matter whether we're the underdog or the favourites, we want to win. And the UK team is the exact same. You know, it's a similarity we have. So yeah, looking forward to that. I'm sure there'll be a few tasty tackles and a few words exchanged in the heat of battle, but all in good form.
Have a good game.
Thank you very much.
Well, let's join our commentary team now, shall we? Chris Hamilton, the RAF women's team manager, and Kyle Dixon.
Welcome to a gloriously sunny Corn FC. The sun has come out for the UK Armed Forces for an international fixture against the Irish Defence Forces. It is a UCAF Irish Defence Forces day. This is part 1, where the women's teams will play for the first time in 4 years. And I'm very pleased to say, joining me on commentary as the players make their way out, is the current RAF women's head coach, the current inter-services champions, by the way, Chris Hamilton. Hammy, you prefer, I believe?
Yeah, Hammy's fine.
And this is your first time on a BFBS broadcast, so welcome. We're going to quickly go through the teams, I think, before national anthems. Shall we? Let's wait for the teams till after national anthems, which I think will come very quickly. The UCAF will be in their white shirts, as you can see, and the Irish in their orange. We don't get the green. And we have 2 very passionate teams today, is probably the best way to say it. UCAF, after a disappointment on Tuesday in the President's Cup, will be looking to bounce back. Chris, while the VIPs are going through, you can talk about the fact that these players will not take that penalty shootout defeat lightly.
Yeah, and speaking to Carl the other day, he let us know that the girls are disappointed with how the game panned out, and I'm sure they'll look to put things right today. He's made a couple of changes, as we'll probably speak about in a minute, and they'll be determined to get the win today.
As you can see, the VIPs are making their way across. The UCAF captain, Cat Beaver, is waiting and ready. I can tell you the Irish captain is number 4, Shannon Thomas. And this is a fixture, while it's an international fixture, it's not something that's happened very often with the women. It's something that's going to be growing now. The men have done it every year, as we'll see later on this evening. But the women, this is the first time in 4 years, as we said. And a lot can change in 4 years.
Yeah, massively, and I think there's been a lot of changes in the Irish side, so there's a few names we haven't seen before, so it'll be interesting to see how they turn up on the day.
Well, there are some new names in the UCAF team too, some that some of our live viewers will not have seen before, and we will get to that shortly. But I think it may just be time for the national anthems.
Sirs, ma'ams, ladies and gentlemen, if you could please be upstanding now for the national anthems of the Irish Defence Forces and the UK Armed Forces.
Big round of applause then for the national anthem. Let's take a dive into the two teams before we get going then. We'll start with the UK Armed Forces team in the white, and there is 8 changes from the team that technically drew or lost on penalties on Tuesday, so he's rung the changes, but 2 games in 2 days doesn't surprise anyone that there are 8 changes. People to note, Nat Bavister, the Royal Navy captain, starts in defence. She's based in Bahrain, by the way. Kat Beaver, the captain, as we mentioned. And a new look front line. Libby Dixon does start. She missed out the other day due to inability to travel to Holland. But up front, number 9, Georgia Carr from the RAF. Her first start. This is her first camp. She made her debut on Tuesday from a substitute appearance. And as her service manager, you must be so pleased for her.
Yeah, really happy for her. She was great for us last season. Unfortunate, she was on a course and she kind of had to make do of substitute appearances in the inter-services games because she was probably one of the players we were looking to start. But yeah, she deserves a chance, and Carl said she's done well during the week, so it'll be good to see how she does.
And from what I've seen of her following the RAF over the last few years, a born finisher. So let's see what happens today. Over to the Irish Defence Forces, and while we may not know too much about these players because they don't play necessarily as regularly as the UCAF team do, we've been told a couple of players to note. Shannon Thomas in defence, number 4, and Catherine Meany, number 6, a defensive midfielder who we are told can dominate the midfield for the Irish. We'll wait and see whether that happens. UCAF, as the home team, are in their home strip, as we said. Ireland have changed theirs. Didn't need to. They could have played in the green, but it's okay. We'll have the orange.
Nice in the sun, isn't it?
Yeah.
Better.
And what sort of game are you expecting today? Because it's so hard to call. 4 years in between, it could be completely different, but we should recognise the fact that the last time these two teams played, Carl Millgate's first game in charge, an 8-0 victory for UCAF. It may be more of the same.
Yeah, I think Carl's obviously worked this week with Macker on making sure that isn't remembered as such, because it's going to be a total different game today. So I hope that he kind of has got across to the players, which I'm sure he has, not to take it lightly, and I'm sure they'll start fast and aggressively into the game.
Well, we are live on the Forces News YouTube channel and on Facebook, so make sure you guys get involved in the comments and in the chats. We have support for Demi Edwards already, the Army midfielder attacker. We believe she'll be playing the number 10 role today. We'll see if there's any change to what we've been given as a formation. But it's quite an attacking lineup for the UK Armed Forces, and a different role for Libby Dixon. We've seen her as sort of the main striker under Carl Millgate over the last few years. I'm pretty sure she's scored in 90% of the games he's had in charge. I think we're going to see her off the right-hand side today.
Yeah, I think so. Maybe Georgia through the middle. So I think Livy's pace on the right can be a real threat today. And I think that's maybe why he's looked to play her down the side, because her pace will frighten anybody really.
Well, it is, of course, an international fixture and a big game, but UCAF will have focused on that President's Cup fixture on Tuesday. They'll have given everything to that, and to walk away without the trophy for the second year in a row is, I mean, we can already tell from speaking to them, it's really hurt them this year.
Yeah, definitely. It's speaking to Carl. It's one of the ones where I think there was 4 or 5 chances they should have put away in the second half, which would have won them the game. And then when it goes to penalties, it's a lottery. It hurt them massively to not win it. And I'm sure today will be the first part to making that right next year.
The support for Demi Edwards continues, by the way. Remember the name, she'll be a lioness very soon. Well, that would be a story. We would love that story. Interestingly, Demi does play local around here, Loughborough Lightning, so maybe there's some local support getting involved. As we're about to get underway, Georgia Carr then on her first start for the UK Armed Forces gets us underway. And it would be very, very interesting to see the tempo that UCAF bring here, because we've been told from the Irish team that experience isn't necessarily their factor. So maybe a high tempo straight away from the off might sort of destabilise the away team.
Yeah, and I think moving the ball quickly like they're looking to do so far, switching a play is going to be key today.
Griffiths has to look behind. Libby Dixon's in already. The flag's gone up. But an early little warning shot there of what UCAF can do.
And I think that's maybe a little glimpse of why they played her off the right today, because she sneaks in there and just unlucky being offside.
She's been a regular in the UCAF team, and she was a regular for the Army as well, but recently has left the services. She's now an Army reservist, hence why she can play for UCAF. But she's also a PE teacher up in Manchester, I believe. So if there's any of her students watching this afterwards in the on-demand bit, please leave a comment. Bavister tidied up, and here is Dixon, ready to take on the player. Right to the byline, Dixon. Can she dig out a cross? UCAF won a corner, but it will be a goal kick. Already we're seeing the attacking intent, and you may see in the background, once we go back to our wider shot, the two men's teams are fully in support here. We're going to see them in action later tonight, but good to see that both men's teams are supporting the women today.
Yeah, it's good. I had a catch up with some of the players there, Brownie and Claycy, and they were saying they wanted to come down and give some support and watch at least the first half before they have to go away and get some food before tonight. So yeah, it's good to see them down supporting.
Well, Amy O'Neill will get us back underway with the goal kick then. Edwards is underneath it. Griffiths heads on. Georgia Clough with a flick on too. And the Irish struggling to get hold of the ball. UCAF dominant from the start. Beaver to Jacobs, who's an Edwards Cup winner once again, Lewis Jacobs. We saw that a few weeks ago for the AGC. She's now no longer with the AGC. It was her final game. She's joined the Royal Signals, but 3 times an Edwards Cup winner. So we have got trophy winners in this UCAF team, and there is a trophy on the line today. We've had a look at it earlier. It's a very nice trophy actually for this fixture, which might be a sign that we can see this fixture on a more regular basis. Ireland looking to get in behind here. Tied it up really well, and Bavister has nearly taken out our camera position, but we're okay. It's always nice to win a trophy to play in these international fixtures, isn't it?
Yeah, I think that just adds to it, doesn't it? Gives the kind of little bit of extra incentive for the girls to go and win something on the day.
And I mean, I suppose you're the expert on trophies this year with your dominant inter-services side.
Yeah, it's good to go away with the trophies, but all the games were well contested and some real standout performances from players from different services, to be fair.
Yeah, we were speaking, people may have seen this at the start of the programme, but we were speaking to Carl Milgate about the inter-services, and it felt like this year was the sort of best quality we've seen in the women's inter-services in a very long time.
Yeah, I think all the games were competitive. Even in the game where the Army went down to the Navy, they fought back into the game, and all the games are really enjoyable actually to watch. Maybe not at the time, but looking back now, they were enjoyable to be part of.
I mean, speaking of that Army-Navy game, Jade Widows is on the bench, the hat-trick hero. She did start against the Dutch, which is, I think, why she is on the bench today, but she will be someone that UCAF can bring on to bring goals to the team. Not that they haven't got the goals already out there, if we're honest.
Yeah, and again, pace to bring on to the game. She's a very fast player and tricky. And when you get Jade Widows running at you, it can frighten defenders. So I'm sure they'll bring her on to up the tempo if it drops at any point.
Here's Jacobs looking towards Dixon. The cross was overhit. And UCAF are just starting to feel their way into the opposition half. We expect that most of the game will be played in the Irish half, but the Irish defence force will be looking, when they've tactically built up for this game, they'll be looking at the break and they'll be looking at potentially some fast attackers. I mean, I'm looking at Imir Nolan on the left-hand side, number 9. We've also got O'Reilly up front, who potentially might bring some pace to the back line. And the UCAF centre halves are both RAF, you know them well. Is that somewhere that maybe the Irish can hurt them?
I would hope they wouldn't. But, I mean, it's always worth trying and kind of turning them in behind like this and testing them for pace to see what they've got.
It was a nice touch for O'Reilly, actually, but she couldn't keep it in.
Emma's really experienced there, and obviously Abby's came in new into the RAF, her first season for us, and she was a standout. So it's good to see her getting a start today as well.
I think this is her first UCAF camp as well, I believe, Abigail Hayes.
Yeah, first UCAF meet, and she's surrounded by people like Bavs from the Navy, who's just full of experience. I'm sure if there's any nerves, people like that will calm the team down for any new starters.
The smart turn by Edwards in the midfield, looking for Bishop, but that will go out of play too. UCAF probing, trying to find the weaknesses in this Irish defence force defence, but so far they've stood tall. Sam Pickering on Facebook says, "Let's go Georgia Carr," the number 9 he's keeping an eye on, as we all are, I think, today. The headlines are there for her to write.
It'd be great if she could go and get a goal.
Her first UCAF start, and she has impressed UCAF management in training, as you said. Bishop does well, and it's on for Griffiths. Griffiths will go for goal, and should be no problem for Amy O'Neill. And how important is it that UCAF play these sort of fixtures and get the training meets in that they've had? Because I know they've been training at Wolves' training ground, as you guys would have seen, and those sort of facilities, admittedly with the Wolves links that UCAF have, but how important is it that they get to do that?
Really important. Obviously Mac has been able to pull some strings there, get them in, get them some great facilities, and I obviously know the standard of coaching they'll have been getting during the week, and it's just good for them to be together, because obviously separate services, you need to work on that team ethic and bring them in and get them cohesive before the games start.
YouTube comment says, "Do they sell the kits? Would love to get one." Well, that is an idea for the UCAF management committee, maybe, selling some of these shirts. We know that some of the services do it in the rugby union with the Army and the RAF and the Navy, so maybe that's something we see going forward. Spread wide for Jacobs again. UCAF dominating the ball, which is what we expected. It's towards Carr maybe, or Edwards is there. Edwards mishit it, but Dixon doesn't. And Libby Dixon starts for UCAF. Libby Dixon scores for UCAF. It's 1-0 after just 8 minutes.
Yeah, nice composed finish. I think there was 3 opportunities to finish there. So Libby coming at the back post and exactly where you want her to be.
Well, who knows where they'd have been on Tuesday with her goals. They've got her today. She's got them off to a good start. And UCAF, well, they deserved the goal. They've dominated the pitch. They've dominated the possession. And the Irish must be very careful not to let their heads drop from here, because it's a long, long way into this game.
Yeah, and I think going down the left-hand side there, the cross coming in from the full-back, Lewis, was really good. So that might be a way for them to get in, getting wide, get some deliveries in early.
Here's Donnelly for the Irish. Well defended, though, by Ellie Bishop, the Royal Navy attacker or midfielder. She can play a number of positions, versatile, but one of the most promising young players in the UK Armed Forces team, Ellie Bishop. Played her part in UCAF's win in the Remembrance fixture in November with, let's say, an assist against Everton, with a long distance strike that caused some controversy, but UCAF ended up winning the game.
Yeah, it was an interesting way to win the game, but you take a win, don't you?
Glenn Long on Facebook says, good luck to the UCAF women. Glenn Long, of course, involved with the Navy women's setup and a big supporter of the UCAF team, as you'd expect. Here's Bavister. UCAF probing for a second maybe. Dixon, the goal scorer. On to Griffiths, who's breaking forward from midfield. Looking for Dixon again. She's still in there, but the Irish will clear. Between Beaver and Abigail Hayes, they sort it between them. Here's Bishop. A chance for a number of these UCAF players to really stake a claim for future squads as well here.
Yeah, and I think that's important when you come into the group, that you take your chance, and whether that's in training every day, showing the coaching staff at UCAF that you should be there, or whether it's in a game like today, you need to make your mark so that you're not forgotten. You're forgotten, sorry, when the next meet comes about.
Dixon looking to use her pace in behind. She will have quite graciously stepped aside from that centre forward position to move to the right for Georgia Carr, but knowing the player, she will also be like, right, I'm going to score goals today, so you put me back in that position.
Yeah, I think strikers are like that, and they want to score goals, but if she's going to score from the right hand side, I'm sure she's happy to go and pick up some goals today from the right hand side.
A few of the local support, I think, are here, as well as lots of people involved in the UCAF setups to support the game today. Here's Dixon again on the right hand side. Bavister with her. Bavister, can she find a cross on the left foot? She has. Headed away. Beaver challenging and winning. Now Hollingsworth. That's towards Carr, who was bundled to the floor, and the referee does give the free kick. Very good centre forward play from Georgia Carr, winning the free kick, holding her line. Beaver went for the early free kick. Referee will pull it back though. Good officiating there for the referee.
I think that's maybe what Georgia gives you, different to maybe what Libby does. Libby's going to go in behind and try and hurt you in behind, whereas Georgia can come to feet and link play, which then creates gaps for Libby to go in behind. So it could be a good little combo up there today.
She's someone who's broke into the RAF team over the last few years. I remember interviewing her after her first RAF goal a few years ago. We'll wait for this free kick. It's spread wide, actually. Will that stay in for Bavister? It won't. Training ground routines don't always work. But yeah, after scoring her first RAF goal, we gave her a TV interview for the first time, and well, she was very nervous. She's just, I remember her saying to me, I just want to score goals and play football. And that's the attitude that gets you to this level, isn't it? Yeah,
and she's good around the group. If she doesn't start, she doesn't let it kind of bother her outwardly. She probably is bothered that she's not starting, but when she's came on for us, she's made an impact every time, and when she started, she has as well. So
big press from the UCAF team, and Georgia Carr's right in there, and for a moment it was disaster for the Irish Defence Forces. Recovered well, Amy O'Neill.
I think that might be the last time they try and play it from the back today.
I would expect so too. O'Neill's long kick was good, to be fair, and Beaver heads it on. Bishop trying to win it back for the UK Armed Forces, and does. Beaver, that's the experience that Cap Beaver brings with the turn. Maybe not the pass, but the turn. Bavister now. Edwards has come short and been caught in possession, Demi Edwards. Wouldn't lead to anything though, because Bavister is there again, and the UK Armed Forces, as you'd expect, look very solid in their setup, and there's not many gaps here.
No, and I think where the Irish have maybe had success so far is maybe slack passes. So they need to make sure that they're not giving away cheap bits of possession, and if they keep the ball and they move it quickly like they have done at times, they look like they could get a few goals today.
For a team that don't play as regularly as the UCAF team so far, it must be said they've looked tidy on the ball, the Irish Defence Forces.
Yeah, they have. And again, I think the front players for the Irish look like they could cause a threat. So hopefully the ball will be played in the Irish half to keep it away from them threatening players.
Yeah, Jacobs winning it back for UCAF, looking for Demi Edwards now, the number 8. Bavister had to check her run. And Rachel Griffiths now. Looking for Bishop, but it will bounce for Edwards. And Edwards has looked in behind for Dixon, who wasn't making that run, unfortunately.
Lois Jacobs on the left-hand side is getting a lot of time on the ball, and I think if you switch it quickly, she can cause a threat. She done really well in the inter-services. She was a player that we kind of pinpointed was a talented player, and she started the game really well today from left back.
I'm sure she won't mind me saying this, but every time I watch Lois Jacobs play, one of the qualities that sticks out as to why she plays well most of the time for me is her aggressiveness. She is straight in with a tackle.
100%.
Never
she
pulls
doesn't give
out
up.
of a 50-50.
And she drives her team on as well. She's, I mean, in their changing room, I'm guessing that she is one of their main leaders because she drives her team on just with her attitude on the pitch. As you said, the tackles that she goes in for. And in general play, she's very composed on the ball.
Bit of a slap pass by Bavister, but UCAF will recover. And Lucia Turner gets her first real touch in goal for the UK Armed Forces. The Army goalkeeper, the AGC goalkeeper as well, another one who won the Edwards Cup a few weeks ago. Another slap pass from UCAF. The Irish couldn't take advantage. Here's Griffith, spins nicely. Just maybe a little bit of nerves from UCAF there in a defensive position. But that's a ball over the top for Bavister. Georgia Carr to chase. And Georgia Carr does very, very well. Was she fouled? The referee says, no, we will play on. And Jacobs has got a chase on here because O'Reilly's got some pace to her. Jacobs did very well, actually. And all credit to O'Reilly up front for the UK Armed Forces. The Irish Defence Force. That is the attitude that's needed to drive a team forward. A lot of space in midfield now for Beaver. Carr links play together, as you said.
Edwards trying to go and beyond when Georgia comes to feet there.
Here's Dixon. There's a pass maybe to the left for Bishop, and Dixon's looked for it. Here she is, the Royal Navy attacker. The flag, though, has gone up. We couldn't see from our position, we're a while away, but it's not one she should be getting called offside for, looking across the line.
No, and I think before she even tried to switch the ball there, Demi Edwards had made a run through the centre, and I think if she slips her there, she's maybe in goal, but it shows you've got a threat on the right through Libby. Demi's made a run through midfield, and then you've got the threat from the left-hand side as well, so good sign so far.
Well, we are just under 20 minutes in. UCAF lead by a goal to nil. If you missed it, Libby Dixon opened the scoring with a well-taken finish from the right-hand side. It's a UCAF game under Cardinal Gate, so Libby Dixon has scored, of course. There are certain players that just have this knack of getting goals. Dixon is one of them, and to be fair, for the RAF, Georgia Carr has seemed to be that sort of player as well. That's a great ball in behind. O'Reilly for the Irish Defence Force. Hollingsworth comes over and does really well there. Emma Hollingsworth, great defending.
Yeah, good composed defending, no rash tackles, and seen the ball out of the pitch there. I think you can see the threat going in behind, though. If she's allowed to run free by herself, she could be dangerous for them.
UCAF playing out from the back then, Bavister. And Griffiths over the top towards Dixon. It's bounced. It's been allowed to bounce, but it's trying to be defended from the Irish. Dixon is never giving up that lost cause, though. Chance maybe. Good header won by Nolan for the Irish Defence Force, and it forced Abigail Hayes to do something, and it meant a free kick for the Irish Defence Force.
Yeah, I think she left herself with a decision to make there. She had to make that decision, so let's see how they deal with this set piece.
Set pieces could be really important in this game for the Irish. I'm not going to say they necessarily have the height, I would say, but you never know. One good ball in, one mistake maybe, and the game completely changes. It's going to be Catherine Meaney over the free kick, a player we have been told to watch out for in this team. Left-footed. Meaney looking towards the back post. It's been knocked down and it's just landed into the hands of Lucia Turner, and that could have gone anywhere.
Yeah, and I think maybe when you don't have possession as a side, you need to play for set pieces, so they could be quite important today.
Edwards looking to break forward, looking for Jacobs. UCAF, after going a goal ahead, have let the tempo drop a little bit. And the Irish, well, they don't need no second invitation to try and force their way back into the game. Here's Edwards. Bavister screaming, Libby, go, but the run wasn't made, but it will find Bavister. Just looking in between Edwards and Carr. There's a lot of signs here from the Irish Defence Force that if they can keep the score at 1-0 for a large period of this first half, you never know what's going to happen. Is a shot from distance rifled into the centre-back's head, but it will fall for Georgia Carr. You've got to play to the whistle, but Georgia Carr fires over the bar and over the stand. That was a hefty whack.
Yeah, and I think that they will try and keep the score at this for as long as they can. I mean, if they can get to half-time 1-0, I'm sure they'll be happy with that. And then second half, maybe try and play for set plays or the number 11 over the top, because that seems to be their main threat at the minute, is trying to play the number 11 over the top.
Well, we have a slight break. It's a good chance for me to inform you that this is just part one of the UCAF Irish Defence Force rivalry we're seeing today. The men's team will be in action. We'll be live from 7 p.m. right here on the Forces News YouTube channel. And that's a fixture that, compared to the women's, due to the growth of women's football, particularly in Ireland, we expect the men's fixture to be a lot closer of a battle.
Yeah, and I think it was a very late winner last time out.
Very late is the right word, I think, for Jake Goslin, yes. And a year before that, the Irish won on penalties, so...
Yeah. Speaking to the lads a bit earlier, they are well up for it. And I'm sure they know that the Irish will be up for it after that late winner last time, so it could be quite tasty later.
And I noticed that the now former UCAF men's head coach, Diffin Pearce, is here to wish on his former side and support. That's a ball towards O'Reilly, but it's cut out. Is Edwards tidy on the ball, the Loughborough Lightning midfielder. Up towards maybe Carter to get near, but she doesn't. Griffiths. That should be a free kick. Referee will call it back. He tried to play on there, the referee, but unfortunately there was no advantage. It is glorious sunshine here at Corn FC, which we were worried at first when we were setting up here that if it rained, we are out in the open, but we've got sun instead, so the lesser of two evils.
It's although maybe not. We're worried about now.
Yeah. Unfortunately, from what you said, you don't do well with sun, so.
No.
Long ball forward from the free kick, flicked backwards, and O'Reilly will chase. Chance then maybe for the Irish to push forward. Referees pulled back for something. Oh, we're going to have a water break. It is that warm that we're having water breaks here halfway through the first half. So
I think that's key today as well. We've played 2 days ago. And with the heat that we're in today, it's that water break is much needed, and I'm sure coaching staff will get them in and ask them to pick the tempo up a little bit here, because when they move it quickly, they're causing problems.
I mean, as we said, it was 8-0 last time, and this UCAF team will consider themselves better than 4 years ago under Carl Milgate. So logically, they'll be looking for more than that. At the moment, they need to raise the tempo if they're going to get near it. It is very, very warm, and that's why we're getting the drinks break. But as you said, two games in 2 days, it's not been nice on the UCAF squad, let's say.
No, and they've taken that on as a bit of a challenge, really, to see if they could do it, one, logistically, and two, it tests their squad. So we can see that they've rotated. I'm sure Maka, Hugh and Carl have had a lot of conversations about who comes in and who needs to step out. One, trying to protect the players, and two, to give other people chances. So, yeah, it's good to see the whole squad being used.
When you've got a squad just packed full of talent, which UCAF genuinely do over the last few years, 8 changes would worry you usually, but not with this team.
No, they're bringing quality in for quality, so there shouldn't be a dip in the performance, and I'm sure Carl is hoping that's the case.
So we're just taking a short break as the two sets of players get some fluids, and we may not see drinks breaks necessarily in the men's game, but it is a lot later, so we'll let them off for that one.
Yeah, I'm sure the temperature will die down there by that time.
Officials, by the way, today from, I believe, from all three services, which is always good to see. The man in the middle is from the British Army. Unfortunately, his name we haven't been given, but so far so good for the officiating team.
Yeah, it's a strong start from the ref, so hopefully it continues that way. We've not got anything to argue about later on.
And we will restart then with the throw-in on the right-hand side. And yeah, this is the time that UCAF can start to raise their game in the first half. It is 20. Well, we're just past halfway through the first half, and at 1-0, it's good. Could be better.
Yeah, I think speaking to them after the game on Tuesday, I was talking about chances that they missed. So I think today that's one thing they'll definitely want is, when they create chances, let's go and take as many as we can today.
I think the Irish have probably surprised UCAF a little bit in this first 20 minutes. Well, UCAF never take anyone lightly. The Irish have been, I mean, they've impressed us on commentary more than we thought they would. It's probably the best way to say it. They've been decent going forward. They've been tidy on the ball, and defensively, shape-wise, they look pretty good.
Yeah, they look a lot stronger this time. And they look keen to go and press as well and put the pressure on the defence.
Bishop does well, though. That's looking in behind for Dixon, and that's the space she needs. Libby Dixon. Libby Dixon scores again. It's 2-0 to the UK Armed Forces, and that right wing position for Libby Dixon is coming up trumps.
Yeah, and I think we spoke about before the game, that is where if she can time a run properly, she's got players that can find her, and once she gets in behind, I don't think any of them will catch her. So it's about her staying composed, which she has the 2 times that she's been in, so brilliant.
As a head coach yourself, how likely is it that after that little break, maybe Carl Milgate said, look, this is what we need to do. There is a pass through all the time. 20 seconds later, UCAF has scored. Maybe he needs to pat himself on the back potentially. Yeah,
and I think that's what they look for, the immediate impact after the chat. And that's, I'm sure he spoke about Libby in behind, and great little through ball and good composed finish. And the goalkeeper might have hurt her wrist here in that one.
Yes, it's not looking good for Amy O'Neill. We do have a list of number of substitutes for the Irish. We're not sure exactly which one is a goalkeeper, so I guess we will find out if they even have a replacement goalkeeper in their squad. Hopefully, though, Amy O'Neill will be able to continue, because she's not made a terrible start. Yes, conceded 2 goals, but looked decent. Her kicking's been pretty good. So hopefully she'll be able to continue on here. But another chance then for us to push what's coming up. And of course, we've mentioned that the UCAF men's team and the Irish Defence Force men's team will clash later tonight. But it's not just that. Next Wednesday, it's time to complete the trio. We've already seen the RAF Cup final. We've seen the Army Cup final. It's the Royal Navy Cup final. And more silverware on the line next Wednesday, right here on the Forces News YouTube channel, next Wednesday evening. Bit of concern over the goalkeeper here, but I'm hoping she will be able to continue. So if you are watching on Facebook or on YouTube, make sure you get involved. Tell us where you're watching. Is it glorious sunshine like here in Corn? But it might be even better weather we had someone watching from Florida a few weeks ago, which made me very jealous. Irish get us back underway then, and at 2-0 down, they have to be very careful to not let this turn into a bit of a steam train. Here's Demi Edwards. Stuck between 2 minds there, Demi. Well, 3 minds. Past to Dixon, past to Carr, have a go herself. She sort of went for a joint 3 of them.
Yeah, it's good that she's kind of got free there and had a couple of choices to make, but you can tell she's creative on the ball, Demi, and she's a key player for the team to get her in them pockets of space to release the attackers.
That's well won. And maybe a chance for Carr to chase this one down. Really good play from Amy O'Neill. Brave, considering she's just recovered or still be nursing a wrist injury. We have a QPR fan watching from West London on YouTube. Unfortunately for you, QPR fans. We also have Chris Mason saying, come on, UK Armed Forces. And so far, so good for UCAF. 2-0 up. Livy Dixon double. She did get a double the last time these two sides played, I believe, in Slough. So, knowing her, she will be hunting for number 3. And from a personal point of view, I'm not trying to jinx her or anything, but the last 2 commentaries I've done for BFBS, there have been a hat-trick hero. So, let's see what happens. Here she is, Livy Dixon. Looking wide for Edwards. She's made a smart run, Demi Edwards. Can she find a cross? Towards the near post, no one really making that run, and it's easy for Amy O'Neill. Georgia Carr's link-up play has been pretty good so far, but she hasn't had that one real opportunity that she's been looking for. Where can UCAF give her that opportunity? Where's her strength? Is it in the air? Is it a smart run?
I think she's actually quite deceivingly fast. But at the moment she's coming to feet quite a lot, which the coaching staff have probably asked her to do to link play, and it looks like Demi Edwards is trying to go in behind with the 2 wide players trying to join in as well. But if she gets through on her own with a bit of pace over behind, she's deceivingly fast.
UCAF then from the back with Bavister into Beaver, and that pass into the midfield too of Beaver and Griffiths is really started to become a staple now in this game. Jacobs, Bishop ahead of her if she can find her. Here is Ellie Bishop. Now back with the defensive pair, or one of the defensive pair from the RAF. That's a ball wide towards Dixon. Bavister's with her too, but Dixon's onto it. And Dixon's low cross is dangerous. Edwards tried to make the run across the front post. Bavister looking to keep this alive. That's a good ball through, and a chance maybe for Griffiths. Goalkeeper, very, very good play from Amy O'Neill. Brave again.
Yeah, and again you can see full back on the ball, Bav's on the ball, delivery with a left foot this time. So I think if you get them on in the full back areas, that's definitely an area that you can hurt them.
That's a good kick as well from O'Neill towards Nolan. Bavister will let this run. So, YouTube comments then, and we have a RAF veteran watching from Kings Lynn, near RAF Marham. Nadine O'Reilly says, come on Ireland. Hitch35 says, loving the coverage, watching from Saudi Arabia. That is the furthest so far we've had in a long while. It's good to see. Edwards. Looking for Beaver, cut out in the midfield there, and that's a ball wide, maybe for Sophie Donnelly to chase. There was little half moments the Irish Defence Force are getting, they're not taking advantage of at the moment. Barbara Staunton says, come on Ireland. Another comment says, Irish Defence Forces member here, sunny in Ireland, go on girls. Support from both, well, support for both teams, which is great to see on the YouTube comment at the moment. Chris Mason says, goalkeepers make all the difference at this level. They often don't get the credit they deserve. Well, we've been given Amy O'Neill a lot of credit so far in the Irish Defence Forces goal. Here's Edwards, though, looking to ruin that in towards Carr. He is right with that comment, though. Goalkeepers at this level make huge difference.
Yeah, massively. I mean, not massively tested yet, but she seems to recover from that injury she had earlier, so see if we can test it a bit now.
Beaver's smart pass looking towards the pace of Dixon again. Well defended by the Irish, though. I think that's Claire Foy who did very, very well. So we are live here for part 1 of the UCAF Irish Defence Force doubleheader from Corn FC. Not very often you see both women's and men's UCAF teams playing together on the same day. It's a challenge that the UCAF committee have put together, and it's something that so far has worked out well for the UCAF team on the field.
Yeah, and it's, as you say, it's really good to see that the lads have come down to support.
That's not the greatest of kick, and it will fall for Dixon. On for Edwards. This right hand channel, this passage on this right hand side is working really well for UCAF. Dixon battling through. Carr's touched it on towards Griffiths. And UCAF will look to try and recycle again with Beaver. Wide for Bavister. UCAF patient on the ball. Bavister again to Dixon. The danger, Libby Dixon. Defensively, really well done on the left-hand side by Leah Walsh, and that will be a goal kick.
Yeah, I think she's maybe aware of Libby's pace now in behind, so she's given her a couple of yards to give her a bit of room to challenge. She's done well there.
I think we're seeing a very early Irish substitution here. I wonder if this is tactical. I'm not sure. Maybe an injury for McLaughlin. And it will be Kim Turner coming on. And let's say an early change for the Irish Defence Forces. It's rare you see it at this point in the first half.
Yeah, and it looks like they've been asked to press quite high and intense, which they've attempted to do, but the only danger with doing that so often is you blow a gasket early doors, and that seems to maybe what has happened there.
Well, for players who don't have the consistent training that a lot of these UCAF players do, that sort of pressing job, it's I mean, I couldn't do it, I'll be honest with you. I'm very happy stood here on the sideline rather than being on there.
Yeah, it's a big ask, and like you're saying, if they're not playing every week and together, that press needs to be spot on, because if you do it in the wrong way, you can get cut open, and I'm sure UCAF will try to do that today.
Ellie Goswell on YouTube says, watching from Essex, my niece Alison Gibbons is on the bench for the Irish team. We'll see if she gets on later in the game. Dixon will go back to Bavister. And UCAF are playing these really nice triangles, short passing, and it is working for them so far. And I just wonder if maybe they're trying to sucker them in a little bit. Great ball to Griffiths, as you say, who will play on. And a chance for Edwards to go for goal. Body shape, she didn't quite get right on that one.
Yeah, fantastic pass, right through the heart of them. And it was just unfortunate with the finish there.
I just wonder if they're playing these short passing triangles and then they're just going to hit this one ball through, maybe to an Ellie Bishop on the left-hand side, who's seemingly unmarked a lot of the time.
Yeah, and because the Irish are trying to press, if they move it quickly like they are in triangles, it's opening up gaps to play through, so they need to keep doing that. And with this heat today, I think the Irish team will tire if they do that.
I think we'll all tire in this heat. O'Neill then with a kick again. The last one wasn't really what she's looking for. She'll look to put it right here. So it's wide towards the substitute, Kim Turner, who's helped it on. Will go out of play. We haven't seen a lot out of the number 9, Nolan, for the Irish Defence Force so far. We've seen more from O'Reilly and Donnelly on the right-hand side. Haven't seen a lot from the left-hand side. That's not the greatest of touches, but fortunately for Abby Hayes, she will recover. Bavister. Here's Georgia Carr. Smart idea, but couldn't get the pass she wanted. Dixon has charged it down, though, twice and come away with a ball. And Libby Dixon has looked for Demi Edwards, who got the shot away. Great defending, but you cannot stop her on the second time. Demi Edwards gets on the score sheet, and UCAF have their third.
Yeah, good finish there. Nice little toe poke past. She didn't just stand and watch after the first attempt. She reacted and stuck it away, so that was good.
Jog it over.
Demi Edwards then, who, as we mentioned, plays her football locally, we believe, with Loughborough Lightning. Something about this area, maybe. She's back on the score sheet again in a UCAF shirt. And she's played very well, actually, Demi Edwards, in that. She's got number 8 on the back of her shirt, but that number 10 role, just linking things together and being that smart player to turn a defence round.
Yeah, she's picking up the pockets, isn't she? And she's either creating by slipping passes, or she's actually further beyond Georgia at times. She's going in behind, and it's allowing Georgia to come to feet.
Bishop looking for Dixon again, but Well defended this time. Beaver keeps it alive for UCAF. Edwards looking to make that spin again. Kept hold of it really well. And it will go for a UCAF throw. It's that type of spin that maybe some of these players for the Irish Defence Force don't see very often or haven't experienced very often, that the top players can give you.
Yeah, I think they were expecting her to just knock the ball off there and play a 1-2, and she looked after it just like Livy's done there.
Talking about top players, Livy Dixon left the ball behind, I think. Beaver keeps it alive maybe. Once again, the RAF captain. UCAF captain today, the experience she brings is invaluable. That's a good ball. Rachel Griffiths is making these really lovely little passes, runs even. And I think we can't quite see from where we are. Unfortunately, we have a stanchion and a cameraman in front of us, but I think that may have gone for a UCAF corner. No, it is a throw. It is a throw. We're good. Now it's a corner. Yeah. Big celebration in the YouTube chat, by the way, for Demi Edwards scoring. Demi Edwards, #1 fan, is very, very happy. Corner then for UCAF. I think it might be Bavister taking it with the left foot. We've seen how deadly she can be from these positions for the Navy in the inter-services. What can she do in a UCAF shirt with the delivery? It's a good one. It's towards the back post. It's headed towards goal and it's in. And I think that is Abigail Hayes who celebrates her first UCAF goal. And if this is her first UCAF meet, as we believe, that is one way to celebrate it.
Yeah, really happy for her. She first start, as you say, great delivery by Bavs as usual, and she's rose above them there and stuck it away. Really good.
Well, that's what you want to see from a centre-back. I mean, they look solid at the back, but when you get forward, you be a danger, and Abigail Hayes has certainly done that. We said UCAF have the height advantage. It paid off.
Yeah, she seems to have the knack of getting the right place at the right time when it comes to set pieces, and she scored the goal against the Navy, and hopefully she can keep that up.
Long ball forward. Hayes leaves it for her centre-back partner, and they do mop it up between them. Jacobs now back for Hollingsworth. Hollingsworth, one of the only players that have started both of the games this week, which may just show how important she is to Carl Millgate and UCAF at the moment. Demi Edwards with a lovely turn, by the way. The pass wasn't up to the same standard, but the turn was brilliant. You
can see her confidence now getting on the ball. She's trying turns, she's trying to slip players in. Obviously the pass let her down a little bit there, but she's been very creative there, and I'm sure UCAF will try and get her on the ball more now.
It's a different side of UCAF as well that we've seen, because over the past few years, I mean, I'm thinking of the Everton game, Everton Academy game we saw in November, where it was more about taking the chances when they come. This is a creative UCAF team today, and we are seeing it for our entertainment, and it's good entertainment.
Yeah, very confident on the ball, moving it quickly, and when they do that, they're hitting them every time they can.
And at 4-0 up, well, since the drinks break, they have definitely taken on whatever the coaches have said is Dixon. Someone who's hat-trick hunting on that right-hand side. Will be a Irish Defence Force throw. Chris Mason says, ball chasing in this heat on a dry, slow surface is exhausting. Big respect to these ladies. I mean, the surface here at Corn is pretty good, 4G surface. I know you are very proud of the surface at Leek Town as well, so, but this is pretty good.
Yeah, nice setup here, and it allows them to move the ball, which they're doing well so far, but as was said there, it's very hard on a hot day, chasing.
Nolan tried to break for the Irish, but it was cut out, and now Bishop on for Edwards. The dangerous Demi Edwards skips past one, skips past two, and she's gone down, but I think it would have been a corner. I think it stayed in.
Still alive.
Georgia Carr charging it down too. As you say, Demi Edwards playing with full confidence right now. As are UCAF now. They've got in their groove a little bit more. Here's Hayes, a goal scorer for the first time in a UCAF shirt. Carr, who will try and do the same during this game. Beaver. Good ball wide, and Edwards will chase. And Edwards will keep that in. We saw an RAF trio there just dominating the pitch for the UK Armed Forces. And I did speak to Carl Milgate about this last week. I think it was 11 of the 20 were from the RAF. And while there absolutely is a lot of talent in all three services, the RAF this year in particular, head and shoulders above.
Yeah, we've got good selection of players to pick from, and actually in the service we were missing 3 players that have been involved with the UCAF previously as well. So
that's a good ball, sorry, over the top. Dixon will chase that really smart punch from Amy O'Neill. Can Bavister keep this alive? It's found Georgia Carr, and Carr will go for goal. Not bad effort from Georgia Carr. It is a testament to the quality, not just at UCAF level, but RAF level defensively. We're seeing the 2 pillars of the RAF defence, let's say, in Hayes and Hollingsworth, keeping Shauna Jenkins out of this UCAF team as well, who's a real talent.
yeah, she is, and actually in the services she wasn't available, so Rachel Howes went in there at centre half next to her, and Abby actually played out of position on the left hand side and done a great job for us. So yeah, really happy for them getting on the pitch again today.
Shauna Jenkins, a player that I know will have wanted to have put the President's Cup right this week. She was the player that missed the penalty last year. I'm told she wasn't the player that missed the penalty this year, so no panic there for Shauna, unfortunately. Or fortunately. Here's Bavister. Dixon, again, really smart turn and touch. Libby Dixon fires the cross in, and a chance for Edwards. And Demi Edwards probably should have a second.
Yeah, that's a great bit of play on the right hand side there by Libby, and what she's done well there is she's not went for a further on the dribble. She's delivered early, and Demi was there to finish. Hopefully Georgia can get in there and join in with Demi in the next time, because if Libby gets down the right hand side and throws it in early, there's definitely opportunities to score here.
Well, we've seen UCAF at their best going forward, defensively very solid, and while the Irish have had half chances, it's definitely been a game for UCAF to dominate, and that has got straight back from Carr. We'll go again.
I think the Irish are going to have to look at how they're playing out from goal kicks, because that's a few times that the UCAF have tried to nick the ball. Poor goal kicks or them playing out short, so they might have to look at how they're going to get out from goal kicks.
The better kick out of the hand though. Bavister onto Griffiths to Beaver, and now Dixon looking in behind for Edwards, who at the moment is playing as a second striker, it feels like. Beaver. Demi Edwards is really enjoying her football, picking up spaces that are so dangerous against a team like the Irish Defence Force. As a head coach, if you were the Irish, would you look at someone like Demi Edwards and go, right, let's just stick someone on her at all times?
Yeah, I think they need to get some sort of defensive midfielder there to maybe go and do a job on her, because at the minute she's getting on the ball a lot and she's hurting them. So you need to try and fix that at half time, because it's going to keep happening if they don't sort it.
She's a player that's been given that free roam in this first half, and she's excelled because of it. Throw in then on the left hand side. Beaver wins it. I think the Irish wanted a free kick, but the referee said play on, and Georgia Carr has linked up play brilliantly again. Dixon on this right hand side wins the throw, and we are just minutes away from the half-time whistle. We are looking at the referee. I'm not sure how many minutes are going to be added on necessarily. The Irish probably are waiting for that whistle to reorganise, because this second half of this first half has been a UCAF blitz, really.
Yeah, I think they need that half-time whistle to go in and regroup and look at, do they come out in the second half and play a bit of a low block, or they definitely need to,
it's brilliant
to go and
from Beaver.
rethink.
Absolutely brilliant from the RAF captain. Under pressure from 3 players. Did that phase her? Absolutely not. Jacobs looked for Griffiths with the cross, but he couldn't find her, and now maybe the Irish Defence Force might be able to break. Just as quickly as I say that, their hopes of an attack dwindles out. Hollingsworth. Here's Bavister. Demi Edwards again. Look at the space for Demi Edwards, looking for Carr, who wasn't quite on the same wavelength, but here she is again, Georgia Carr, the RAF striker, finding Libby Dixon. The cross towards the back post had Ellie Bishop hunting away, and she's found the ball too. Bishop into Beaver. Beaver does really well, Kat Beaver, and across the box for Georgia Carr, who, well, that's the chance she was thinking of last night as she went to bed, and that is not the chance she took.
Yeah, that was the one she'd been waiting on, so she'll remember that in second half. She'll want to go and put that right.
Well, big chance for Georgia Carr, but she's in the right position. She got the finish on the ball, and credit to Amy O'Neill, smart save. And at 4-0 down, the goalkeeper making a smart save like that needs to be credited, because your head could go, but it hasn't gone for UCAF in this first half. A 4-0 lead at the break. Pretty much job done so far.
Yeah, exactly what they wanted, and even, to be fair, they could have scored a few more goals there, so they'll look to go and lift it second half again and go and try and get a few more, because there's definitely opportunities for them to score.
Carl Milgate with lots of high fives, and there's hugs there. Congratulations for a very good first half performance there. UCAF lead by 4-0. Libby Dixon with 2. Demi Edwards also on the score sheet, and from the back, Abigail Hayes heads in the third, but 4 overall for the UK Armed Forces. So good so far for the women's teams. Well, let's turn towards the men's team then. This evening, the two men's teams will do battle on this pitch right here live on the Forces News YouTube channel. And early in the week, John Knighton went to see the UCAF team with their new head coach in pre-match training.
Yeah, it's unbelievable, to be fair. So nothing's really changed within the setup. So staff have been the same. We've brought Griffin, but players have been fantastic for us. Yeah, really buying into what we're doing.
Just tell me about the importance of this match, because the Irish Defence Force, it's become a regular annual fixture for the Friendship Trophy, but it's not exactly a friendly, is it?
Yeah, no. So again, yeah, it's obviously they're really competitive. Great team, and yeah, we are friends off the pitch, but on the pitch, obviously, we want to win. That's the team demand, and that's their demand. But for us, it's one step for the Kentish Cup. So again, good prep. And it's probably the hardest team that we'll play ready for that Kentish Cup. So yeah, really good preparation.
Yeah, it seems like it's come around really quick from when we was over in Dublin, but we've been here for a good couple of days now, and we're keen to go, guys. I'm sure the Irish are as well.
He steps up now, takes it and is saved, and the Irish Defence Force have won this game on penalties, and just look what it means to them.
24 months ago, when we went to penalties, which no one was expecting, they got a last-minute sort of goal there as well, and they got momentum, and they won the penalty shootout. And then 12 months ago was the excitement was there again. I think we let them back into the game very late on, but then we had goals who put it away in the top bin towards the end, and the excitement was evident by celebrations. Firstly, from them in there, equalising goal. It got a little bit out of hand, but it shows what it means to them. And then we got the goal back to go 2-1, and we give it back.
You're here, and of course the Irish Defence Forces, it's going to be a tough one. It always is against them, because everyone takes these games really seriously, which is absolutely the right thing.
Yeah, we're expecting a really tough game tomorrow. I think it's always a really tight game, so we're prepared, and from the last meet I think we've got a really good squad, and we can go and get the win.
How important is the training sessions here that you're doing, because you're bringing players together who've probably been rivals in the inter-services and beyond, and also with their civilian football they've been playing. It's the end of the season, so these sort of training sessions are vitally important, aren't they?
No, absolutely, yeah. Obviously we've just come off the back of the inter-services competition, so there's a little bit of rivalry before we start, but as soon as we come here, it's 3 teams as one, and it's always good to get together with the lads. Obviously there's a really good team cohesion here, and the lads look forward to it. We're all really good friends. During our little in-services period, it's a little bit of competition, but when we're here, game heads on, and looking forward to the UCAF fixtures.
It is perhaps not surprising that a sport, including a charge as part of its rulebook, would appeal to members of the military. But the explosive opening to water polo fixtures, featuring a charged start, seeing opposing players sprint towards the ball, are a surefire way to get the adrenaline pumping for those paddling on the water and to enthuse willing participants. Canoe polo is a game of two 10-minute halves, with two teams of 5 battling it out with a water polo ball. The aim is to score into a goal suspended above the water at each end of the playing pitch.
It's a fast, aggressive team sport that requires high levels of teamwork, aggression that's controlled, a lot of skill and physical fitness as well to succeed.
The Army Canoe Union staged a 2-day crash course combined with training and competition to introduce newcomers to the sport. Those with a love for team sports and who've dabbled with a paddle during adventure training will be quick to convert their skills.
I actually always say that it's a lot easier to take someone who's played other sports, so be it football, basketball, and teach them to paddle than it is to take a canoeist who's done a lot of AT than it is to teach them to play polo. So it's that innate understanding of how team sports work, ball skill, looking for space and stuff all becomes super apparent in canoe polo. It's just that you have to, rather than run, you have to learn how to paddle a kayak, which is a skill in itself. But it's a really sort of all-encompassing sport.
I love that crossover between adventure training and a ball sport, as you say, and that's the sort of thing that soldiers, sailors and airmen must really lap up.
Yeah, so it's one of those sports that people, when you first described, they think, well, what is that? But actually what we found today is that they come down and they have a great time. You know, they take what, you know, we've had troops down here for 2 days and they're really starting to get the hang of it. Never paddled before, some of them, and they've never, you know, played canoe polo before, but they're really getting the hang of it, really starting to enjoy it, and you can see that enthusiasm on their face.
There is an opportunity to progress within the sport, including representing the Army at inter-services level. That may be a future aspiration for some. Meanwhile, first-timer Emily Eaglesham was content to get to grips with her time in the kayak.
I mean, it's a lot more of a workout than I first anticipated. I got out of the boat yesterday and could barely stand. But you know, it's like any team sport, so you've got like the team side of it, like the gameplay. It's also quite a nice little anchor management, can't lie, you know, just rowing as fast as you can into someone else's boat.
Of course, there is the opportunity to feature in the inter-services. Is that something that you'd like to do? If you pursue it, you may go on and represent the Army?
Yeah, 100%. It's something I'd look to do in the future once I get more comfortable with the sport, get more used to how it works. But yeah, definitely something I'd look to in the future.
Manish Gurung was introduced to canoe polo by his company commander when he joined the Army. The sergeant, who serves with 2 Royal Gurkha rifles, has encouraged other members of his unit to get involved with a lesser-known sport.
It is a different sport because people rarely play this sort of sports. Normally, back in the unit, back in the regiment, we do play like sports, i.e. like football, basketball, volleyball, but this is kind of sport that we rarely play.
Encouraged by the numbers taking to the water, the Army hope that with help from the Royal Navy and Royal Air Force, they can establish a UK Armed Forces team and host leading club sides in an Armed Forces Invitational tournament next summer.
Yeah, we're looking forward very much indeed to that Navy Cup final next Wednesday. But before that, of course, we've got the second half of the women's game here at the home of Quorn Football Club for the second half of that. And of course, we've got the men's game tonight for UCAF. I'm joined now by Tom Clace, Corporal Tom Clace, who, well, in different circumstances, Tom, you might have been playing tonight, obviously former UCAF captain, but you're watching with me tonight. We're going to be watching the men's game tonight. Before that, great performance from the UCAF women in that first half.
Yeah, of course, yeah, the women being fantastic that first half. You know, the class really shone. To say a lot of these only played 48 hours ago, you know, it's a testament really to them. And you know, the football, it could have been a lot more. You know, really good, set up well. It's a pleasure to watch, really. You know, brilliant.
Well, it's an absolute tribute to them, bearing in mind they were only playing 48 hours ago in Holland. They've come over here, not much, obviously, training, but they've got straight into this game, and they've really laid into the Irish Defence Forces.
Yeah, of course, yeah. I've been speaking at gaffers. You know, they've like I said, they've prepped them well again. You know, obviously, very short turnaround, but they've mixed and matched it, and yeah, you know, the girls that didn't play as much on Tuesday have come in and give a really good account of themselves.
Yeah, Abby Hayes, that heading that corner into 4-0, that was icing on the cake for them, really, and some great performances. But looking ahead to tonight, of course, we've got the battle for the Friendship Trophy, and there have been some really good games over the last couple of years, haven't there, between these two teams? And I know that both sides will be really up for tonight.
There has, yeah. You know, it's one of his favourite fixtures, this, because you know, they come out all, you know, fighting us and all guns blazing. We really look forward to it. You know, last year we're excellent. I mean, you know, 1-0 up and then they score last minute. A few of their lads were in my face. You know, yeah, we beat you, and I couldn't really say much. And then once God's put that in top bins, all lads were celebrating. I was too busy running around their team, you know, in their face back. So yeah, quite funny really. But yeah, these are great fixtures. You know, the Friendship Trophy. You know, it's one of them where on pitch, you know, you'll fight for it. Obviously, you want to win, but off the field, you know, they looked after us well over there, and we'll do the same here.
I do remember a certain amount of Guinness was partaken in Dublin after that, and to play over there in Dublin was terrific. And of course, the game before that was, you know, that was back at Havens and Waterlooville, which they won on a penalty shootout.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we owed them that, to be honest. So obviously over in Dublin, they're not daft. They put us a couple of miles from Dublin town centre, which were eventful, shall I say. Yeah, but we had a good time.
I know nothing about that.
Yeah, we had a really good time, and yeah, obviously we got the win, so you know, we played really well that day, and if it had been a draw and gone to penalties again, I think it'd have been bad for us, that, because we deserved to win.
Well, we're looking forward to a great game tonight. I must just mention, you've been particularly busy, haven't you, with a certain 4x4x48. Just very briefly tell us about that.
Yeah, so the Goggins Challenge is 4 miles every 4 hours for 48 hours. I've just done that in memory of Glenn Fulham, who plays for the Irish Defence Force. He played against us last year. I've had some good battles over the years with him. Only 26-year-old, you know. It's the least I could do, really, from the UCAF perspective. We just wanted to show, you know, our class and how we are, really. So I did that challenge on behalf of his family. It's up at around about 700 quid at the minute. So once that finishes, and next week, I'll send it over to the Irish Defence Force, and they'll pass it on to his family. But yeah, it's sad news, really. Glenn was a really good lad, a nightmare on the pitch, but off the field, you know, we used to share some good pints together and had a really good laugh. But yeah, it was quite a sad story, really.
Well, I know a lot of people are incredibly grateful and delighted about what you've done. You know, doing every 4 hours, 4 miles for 48 hours. That's no mean feat. How are the feet, by the way?
Not good. My keg's gone a bit. I've lost a bit of my keg, but yeah, it is tough because it's mentally as well. You know, you don't get no sleep for a couple of days. And the rest gets smaller and smaller because it takes you a bit longer each time, and by the time you've got showered and tried to have something to eat, a bit of fluids in you, you know, it's mentally, it's really tough, but obviously physically it's bad as well. I was going to go for a run this morning, but yeah, it was a bit, I'm still feeling a bit sore, to be honest, so yeah.
We'll take it easy with you tonight anyway.
Yeah.
Tom, thanks so much for joining us. Let's now return, shall we, to Kyle, the commentary team, to look forward to a second half for UCAF against the Irish Defence Force.
Well, welcome back. Thanks, John. Thank you for speaking to the UCAF marathon man there. Incredible feat. And UCAF then 4-0 up at the break, and a couple of changes too we've noticed. 2 changes for, well, like for like, RAF for RAF. We've got Emma Hollingsworth coming off. We also have Kat Beaver, the captain, coming off, and replacing them is Shauna Jenkins and Molly Lambert. Trying to figure out who's taken the UCAF armband as well. I would imagine it's Nat Bavister, but we will wait and see.
Yeah, I reckon Babs has taken the captaincy.
And UCAF then 4-0 up and chasing a higher score, you would imagine. But for the Irish Defence Force now, they've reset. It's. I mean, we've all heard it before. It's 0-0 again for them, right? Play the second half, win the second, or get what they can out of the second half.
Yeah, I'm sure they've been told that second half to go out and start afresh and try and win the second half. So we'll see what they come out like.
We are just waiting. I'm not quite sure what we're waiting for, actually. The UCAF are ready. The Irish are now ready. And another 45 minutes then for UCAF to stamp their authority on this fixture. At 4-0 up, they've played well, particularly in those attacking positions. Standouts, of course, we've seen from Libby Dixon. Demi Edwards has played very, very well in the number 8 position. But now a new look back line as such, with Shauna Jenkins slotted in there. And a new defensive midfielder. The Marathon Man takes one of our wine gums. Unbelievable. That's an early free kick for the Irish Defence Force. Smart play from O'Reilly once again. She seems to be the standout for this Irish team.
She's definitely their threat, isn't she? She's always looking to get in behind, and she's causing little bits of problems, but hopefully can deal with her second half.
I think we were told Porkies from the Irish team. We were told to watch out for Catherine Meaney and Shannon Thomas, who clearly are good players, but O'Reilly's the one we're watching now. It will be Meaney over this free kick though, so let's see if she can prove me wrong there. It's in a very good position for a left footer, actually. Maybe a little bit further out than she'd like. Meaney over the free kick. It's a very good one. Smart save from Lucia Turner. You'd expect her to make that save, but you have to stay vigilant and make it, for a goalkeeper does. Edwards couldn't swipe the leg towards it, and Jenkins, with her first real involvement, tidily keeps control of the ball for the RAF. Here's the new UCAF captain for the second half, Nat Bavister. And now Molly Lambert does very well, and Ellie Bishop is in behind. She's got Georgia Carr making a run towards the back post. Demi Edwards on the edge of the box. I mean, I'm not sure if she was looking for a 1-2 towards, thinking maybe Molly Lambert was there, but UCAF will recycle it, it's fine. Good ball back towards Libby Dixon, who has, quite frankly, terrorised Leah Walsh in this first half. Georgia Carr might keep that alive, and smart from the goalkeeper.
I think in first half it was very clear they were trying to go down the right hand side and cause problems, whereas Ellie Bishop was free a lot of times on the left, but because they were getting so much success down the right, they were maybe forgetting to go down the left, whereas maybe they've said at half time, Carl, let's go down the left hand side as well. So that first pass by Molly, and they're in straight away.
And we know the Navy have got a lot of talent, but Ellie Bishop in particular is one that's been highlighted, particularly for the next few years as well. I mean, talk about the Navy talent, you've got Kira Boyden, you've got Rhoda McDonald sat on the UCAF bench at the minute. But when you were doing your RAF preparation for the inter-services, was Ellie Bishop one of those players you sort of pinpointed?
Yeah, I think the usual suspects really. You've got Kira, Jade Widows, Rosie, and then people like Ellie have come through, and they're now becoming threats as well. And obviously Babs is well known on the right hand side, very composed.
Good communication there from UCAF at the back. Lucia turned it very well. Now here's Abigail Hayes, who's got to be just absolutely confidence flowing with her after the first ever UCAF goal. Not something she'd have been thinking about really as a centre back, but
no, she's probably just wanting to get a clean sheet on her debut, and she's popped up with a nice goal there, so confidence will be sky high.
Here's Lambert. I will reveal in my sort of insider position of being able to watch the UCAF team train over the last few weeks. Molly Lambert was being used as that really vital pivot in midfield. Seemingly everything went through her in all of the training regimes and stuff like that. So we'll see if that happens in the second half. She's already shown she's got an eye for a pass.
She was very, very unlucky not to start. We had her starting in the Navy game, if I'm honest, and then she became ill shortly before the Navy game. And then because the players played so well against the Navy, it was hard to change the team for the Army. So she was very unlucky not to start, to be honest, in inter-services. But great character and very talented on the ball, and can find a pass from nowhere, really.
And someone who's making an impact from the bench this week for UCAF. She made a substitute appearance against the Dutch on Tuesday, and once again off the bench today. Georgia Carr loses out there, but look at the ability to get back and determination to try and win it back from Georgia Carr, and it results in UCAF having the ball once again. Hayes. Jenkins. Wide for Jacobs now, the Royal Signals player. Jacobs wide for Ellie Bishop. This is smart from UCAF. So any options in the penalty area for her? Not quite, so Bishop looks to restart again with Molly Lambert. And now on for Bavister. And patient play from UCAF. Bavister looking towards Dixon, but the control wasn't there. And a little bit of attack versus defence at the start of the second half.
Yeah, they seem to be camped in their own half at the moment, so hopefully they can make this possession pay in a minute.
Been very impressed with Rachel Griffiths at number 11 in midfield, someone who usually goes about her game sort of unnoticed, but today making a lot of forward runs, showing she can be an attacking threat.
Yeah, she's trying to get up with play and join in and add to that attacking threat, and if she gets near the edge of the box, she can definitely strike a ball and she can finish.
Jacobs does well again, and now Bishop, who already in the second half is starting to have a bit more of a profile than in that first half. She loses out there, but it will stay alive for Jacobs, and now Bishop. On to Griffiths. Shauna Jenkins, who for a centre-back has the most incredible composure on the ball. That's a great ball.
I think there was a touch on that for a corner.
I think it was. It was a really smart idea from Abby Hayes, and she does earn UCAF a corner. Lovely when you can see a centre-back come out from the back and play forward passes like that.
Yeah, great composure on the ball there. And
UCAF have taken this short, so Abigail Hayes will go back. Dixon's found a cross. It's just over Georgia Carr's head, and Shauna Jenkins was the one coming in at the back post. Caught the Irish out there, I think, with a short corner. Here's Bishop to Jenkins, and now Lambert. Away from one, keeps hold of the ball too, Molly Lambert. Now Jacobs can find Shauna Jenkins. UCAF have been very, very good on the ball in the second half so far. Bavister keeps hold of it and doesn't make me jinx it.
Brilliant feat.
Lambert's turn is superb. And now Ellie Bishop. Jacobs will look towards the penalty area. The keeper's come, not got anywhere near it, and it's hacked clear. I think that was Claire Foy who got the vital touch. Georgia Carr was around there. Libby Dixon hunting for a hat-trick. It has gone for a corner, and we are going to see an Irish change. We weren't sure there because there was nobody getting ready. We knew a change was coming. It's Stephanie Keller who's going to come onto the field, I believe. And I think it is going to be number 3, Mary Gallagher, who comes off. And Stephanie Keller definitely doesn't have any jewellery right in front of us. We're good. A change when defending a corner, by the way. You don't see it very often.
No, I think that is... I definitely won't be doing that.
Nope. Let's see what happens from this. Libby Dixon then. And Keller has gone straight in to try and mark Shauna Jenkins, who is a threat from corners. Dixon towards the near post. It's bounced around. Will it end up in the back of the net? It doesn't.
Oh, I've got away with that one.
It was Abby Hayes in there again.
I think the difference is when they try and go down the left-hand side, Ellie Bishop's coming to feet because she's naturally right-footed, and it's allowing Lois Jacobs to go down on the overlap, whereas the right-hand side, Libby's just wanting to go down the line.
Yeah, I mean, it should be said she is playing at left-back, Lois Jacobs, but she is somebody that can play across that line.
Yeah, and even you could probably try. I think she played on the left of her front three in the services at points as well. So
she did play that position in the Edwards Cup final a few weeks ago. And UCAF have a lot of talent who can do that. I'm thinking Kira Boylan on the bench can also play across that line on the left. Suddenly, left backs and left wingers are full of talent in the UK Armed Forces.
Yeah, Lois Jacobs, Kira, as you say, very talented player as well, and tenacious.
It's a good ball in. Georgia Carr bounces away from her. Georgia Carr, well, UCAF have done very, very well and are 4-0 up. It's just not quite been her day, Georgia Carr, weirdly, so far. Shauna Jenkins cuts that out. Very, very good defending from the Welsh defender.
It's a great switch by Shauna there.
Superb, and finds Dixon. And if Dixon just got a head up there, I could see Georgia Carr in a lot of space, but she couldn't find her. Dixon keeps it alive, though. And the cross shot pounced down off Amy O'Neill, who gratefully grasps onto it.
I think that's maybe what Carl and the coaching staff are looking to do, is that they're getting into them areas. He'll just want a bit more quality in the final ball or the finish, because they're getting loads of chances now.
Great creative play so far from UCAF. That bounces away from our commentary position, fortunately, and the control from the RAF head coach there is just superb.
That's what it's all about there.
Here's Abby Hayes. Looking for Bavister. It's a little short, but Bavister gets there. And now Jenkins. Wide for Jacobs once again. And Jacobs will run. Must be a tactical decision, as you mentioned earlier, that we're seeing when the ball goes wide, you're not seeing the height of Georgia Carr head to the box. She comes short. Here's Dixon. Really good play from Libby Dixon, by the way. She's gone right across the field and she's gone down. Wanted something, a big shout from Libby Dixon. She's frustrated there, but didn't get the free kick. And now Georgia Carr shifts over to the right-hand side, by the way. Versatility in this UCAF front line. Griffiths tries to bring it down and does. And Lambert now. UCAF have looked so composed in the second half as they don't quite get that pass through. They have looked incredibly composed on the ball, and a substitute now for the Irish again. And it's number 14, Shauna Connington, coming on. And it's Sophie Donnelly coming off. Donnelly, who has actually looked to threaten that first half. She comes off, nursing an arm injury potentially.
Yeah, maybe a shoulder there. She's struggling to get that bib on, so I think she's maybe hurt her arm at some point.
Hitch35 on YouTube says Hammy hasn't lost it, so you must know you.
I'm sure he's sunning it up watching today.
Ball wide now for Keller, one of the substitutes. Jacobs wins it though, and Bishop now back to Lois Jacobs, who finds the cross. Dixon was just coming across her marker, and Amy O'Neill had to be careful. She was just about. Heart in mouth stuff for the goalkeeper for a second. If you are watching on YouTube or on Facebook, make sure you get involved. Drop a comment in the chat below that you can see. Tell us where you're watching from. Is it as sunny as it is here? I personally hope not, because I'm enjoying this and I don't want to feel jealous. So Turner should quite comfortably let this fall out of play. And after a strong start to the second half, UCAF, while not able to get the goals they wanted, have just taken a back step a little bit, bit of a breather. Here they go again though. Bavister sends Dixon towards the corner. Can she make something from this? She tries to beat the player and wins a corner.
Oh, he's gave a goal kick. I think that was a corner there.
It looked a corner from our position, but admittedly the officials are a lot closer than we are, so we will give them the benefit of the doubt. Hitch35 says 42 degrees where he is.
I'm struggling in this heat, so I couldn't be going on holiday with Hitch at this point.
Be burnt to a crisp. Shauna Jenkins. Really good play, finds Edwards, and Demi Edwards skips away from one, goes for goal. Turned the wrong way for a moment. It felt like there was an option towards the left. Kind of a little bit quiet out there at the moment. Maybe the Irish are determined to try and defend in the second half. You can see that. And UCAF haven't had the joy necessarily so far.
Yeah, they seem just camped on the edge of the box, like we said earlier, and I think they'll probably be happy with a 0-0 second half.
It's not the greatest kick from the goalkeeper, but Leah Walsh should be able to mop up and wins the throw.
I think the UCAF coaching staff will have definitely mentioned that at half-time. If they try and play out from the back there, we can definitely jump in and win the ball back. So,
wonder at what point Carl Millgate thinks about changes maybe to freshen this up. As we've said, 2 games in 2 days for UCAF after losing out on the President's Cup on Tuesday. So keeping it relatively fresh in the middle of the park, for example, which he's already done with Molly Lambert, was important. But there are players on the bench that are looking to take advantage of any opportunity, that's for sure. Nat Bavister, stalwart of this UCAF team, stalwart of Forces football, if we're really honest. Bavister looking towards Demi Edwards, headed away well. Bavister still there chasing. Is O'Reilly. Jenkins, it's just so simple for her. And here is Georgia Carr now. A little bit of time for Georgia Carr. Not quite sure she knew what to do with it, if I'm honest, for a second. And O'Reilly spun away from Lambert really well, looking for options. Definitely the danger player for the Irish Defence Forces up front, O'Reilly.
Yeah, she's been a threat, but she's just so isolated. There's no support to her.
Lambert flicks it on. For the first time, we're seeing UCAF back in their own half in the second half. Turner now for Hayes, who has really settled into that back line superbly in this match in particular, and someone who has settled into the RAF team, as you've mentioned. She's got herself on the score sheet today. She got herself on the score sheet in the inter-services. Here's Lambert. There was a switch on, chose not to play it. And Jenkins now on to Jacobs. Georgia Carr comes short, but she goes wide to Ellie Bishop. UCAF calm on the ball, finding the pass. Unfortunately at BFBS our budget does not stretch to possession stats, but if it did, I'm sure it'd be pretty high for UCAF so far.
Yeah, I think that's one area they're definitely winning in the game, is the possession, and they just need to be a bit more clinical now with their through balls and the deliveries from wide areas, and I think there's more goals here if they want them.
Our director's box is not happy at the idea of having to do possession. That'd be too much, way too much.
I'm just hoping there's coffees included. Is that in the budget?
We'll see what UCAF can provide later. You wouldn't want me to make you a coffee. Worst coffees in the world, I'm telling you now. Dixon then with a corner. Looking towards the runner from Lambert. It'll fall for Jenkins on the volley, and she's hit the crossbar. Sure that Jenkins has that in her locker, and that would have been something special.
Yeah, she can definitely strike a ball, and to be honest, she'll probably be disappointed not to score there, because she's, as you say, very talented footballer, and when she strikes a ball, it remains hit.
Certainly does, and she's someone, I know they say this about central defenders a lot, but the idea of a Rolls Royce of football, she's someone who fits that category, doesn't she? Calm, composed, never panicked, keeps the ball, wins it in positions she has no right to win it as well.
Yeah, she cruises through games, to be fair to her. As I say, we didn't have her for the services last year, but when she plays for the UCAF, she stands out.
Here's some UCAF changes then, 3 to be exact. Georgia Carr, Nat Bavister and Rachel Griffiths come off, and I can see that Kira Boylan, Rosie McDonnell and Lucy Sorry, Megan Herbert's come on.
Meg came on there at the midfield.
I stumbled there because I believe Rosie McDonnell and Molly Lambert have swapped shirts from what we expected them to have.
Oh, they've not helped us out there, have
They've
they?
not helped us out. So Molly Lambert now 17, Rosie McDonnell number 12.
Yeah, I think that's made Ellie Bishop move central.
Which is her more preferred position.
Yeah, I think so. And you could tell what playing off the left, she was trying to come inside and get on the ball. So this is probably more like her game.
Chance for her in that central position then. McDonnell looking to get involved for the first time. The Plymouth Argyle player. Had a very good season with Plymouth, I believe, Rosie McDonnell. And now Kira Boylan, who's picked up the captain's armband as she's left as well. She has been Navy captain as well at times, so she has that leadership, Kira Boylan.
Yeah, again, she's probably similar to Lois Jacobs, like a real leader, aggressive, tenacious, and yeah, she's a very good player.
Speaking of Lois Jacobs, if anyone's wondering, she's moved over to the right-hand side, from left back to right back. She can play left wing, right wing, centre back, striker. A lot of these UCAF players are versatile. I suppose it's the Forces way, right?
Yeah, she's we spoke about her already, haven't we? She's talented. She can play off either side. She can play central probably as well, to be honest.
Great play from the two Navy players on the left-hand side, Boylan and McDonnell. Charged down by Boylan as well.
They'll have a good relationship down that left-hand side. Again, they done well in inter-services both games, the two of them, and you can see them playing off each other there and looking for overlaps and underlaps.
Lambert unfortunate to concede the free kick there. Kind of couldn't pull out of that challenge in that position, but fair decision from the referee. And now with sort of 20 minutes played in this second half, no goals, which kind of surprising with the way that first half went. A chance for some substitutes to make their mark on the game. Here's Bishop now in that centre forward role. Plays her at 1-2 with McDonnell, gets it back. Boylan. Demi Edwards is making a darting run, but Boylan's making a run all on her own, and she's played it through to McDonnell, who wasn't aware of it, and it was a chance for her. Pace on the left-hand side now from the two Navy players could be important, because Rosie McDonnell and Kira Boylan both are probably two of the quickest players on the pitch, potentially. Although I'm sure a couple of others will love to argue that with me, I'm sure. Turner now finding Jenkins. Jenkins looking for Edwards, who was free, but it's well defended actually from the substitute, Shauna Connington. Cut that out really well. And now here's the substitute, Herbert. UCAF very happy to keep control of this pass between the players. Get the substitutes on the ball, get them a first touch, get them going. Here is Herbert again. And now Dixon. If you are watching on YouTube or on Facebook, please do get in touch. Are you very pleased with this UCAF performance? Are you pleased with the Irish performance in terms of some of their defensive abilities? I know some of the neutrals will look at this and go 4-0, impressed with the Irish, but actually due to the level of football in the military in Ireland, they've played pretty well.
Yeah, they have actually, and much improved performance from the previous game. So I think they'll be happier. Probably still not happy, obviously. With
Nobody likes losing, of course.
Yeah, but I mean, they've definitely improved.
Kira, big shot at Kira, isn't she? Wins it, so to speak, but not legally.
I think he was waiting to see if there's any possession off that, and then he's pulled it back, so...
I think it was just a little bit too aggressive from Boylan.
Yeah.
I mean, she did throw her captain's armband off in the challenge as well.
If you look at who's still to come on as well, lots of pace there. Pip, Jade and Lucy.
Yeah. I mean, there's attacking talent still to come on. We mentioned Jade Widows, his hat-trick against the Army, but Pip Wilson was the player that scored twice against the Dutch on Tuesday.
Yeah.
So she will want to come on the field. Irish have another free kick here that I think was Boylan again, who
yeah,
a little bit rash.
To be honest, I think she's just stronger there than the number 11, but yeah, I think the refs maybe felt a bit sorry for them there and gave a little foul.
A chance then for the Irish from a free kick, and if the Irish were to get a goal today, they would be hugely happy with that.
Yeah, and again, like we said, the set pieces here could be where they could hurt them.
I can see Kim Turner standing over the ball, potentially a right-footed option. Through the legs of our cameraman. She goes over it, and the left-footed ball in, it's hit the side netting. Not sure whether that was the right option from
I think the Irish coach will be disappointed with that, because he's committed all the players into the box there, and she's had an attempt on goal. If it goes in, then great, but
there were other options, that's for sure.
Massively there. That was a chance to deliver and actually put a bit of pressure on the UCAF goalkeeper.
For anyone wondering what's happening, we're having our second drinks break of the day. We're halfway through the second half. It is very warm here in Loughborough, so a drinks break will get us through. Fortunately not for us. We're going to have to keep talking.
Sun cream break.
Sun cream break, yeah, that's what's needed. We're going to just have a look at that free kick again from the Irish. And while it was a very good effort from the near post with the left foot from Catherine Meany, as you say, wrong choice. And if you were if that was the RAF that did that, are you screaming or are you?
Yeah, I think fair play, she's tried to be creative and catch them out, but if you're 4-0 down or you're trying to get back into a game, I think percentages, there's players in the box there are a bit of height. Can you put it in the box and cause them a bit of problems? You don't actually know what the UCAF goalkeeper's like because she's not been tested, so can you go and test her? Then you know for the rest of the game, is she a player that we can go and try and play off and hurt?
Well, Lucia Turner was the goalkeeper for the AGC in the Edwards Cup final a few weeks ago that we showed live, and in that game, she will be the first to say herself, she had a mixed bag. There were a couple of mistakes that she felt she could have done better with, so maybe if the Irish had seen that, they can try and take advantage, but that wasn't enough from the free kick. UCAF are ready to go. The Irish stagger back out from the drinks break. It's starting to get to their legs, I think, this heat and this pitch and the tempo in which UCAF are playing. 20 minutes left on the clock, and UCAF are 4-0 up. The goal scorers in the first half, all in the first half. Before I go through that, just mention there has been a change in goal for the Irish Defence Forces. Quietly off screen there. Amy O'Neill comes off, and Louise Dixon comes on. Louise Dixon, sorry. So, not sure if it's anything to do with potential wrist injury from the first half, but the quite impressive O'Neill goes off. Let's see what Dixon can bring in goal for the Irish Defence Force. Yes, the goal scorers for UCAF in that first half. 2 for Libby Dixon to get UCAF well and truly underway. A goal for Abby Hayes from the back, and a goal for Demi Edwards, who impressed in that first half.
I think Libby will try and come back into the game now, because I'm sure she'll maybe come off at some point, but she'll want that hat-trick before she comes off, so yeah. I think she'll be desperate to get a chance in behind to run.
For a player like Libby Dixon, she would have been looking at the last time they played the Irish. She'd have gone, right, I got 2 last time. Now she knows she's got 2 now. As much as, yes, a hat-trick's great usually, beating that tally as well from last time.
Yeah, 1, because she's a striker, and 2, because she's a very confident person. She believes in herself, she knows she can finish. And if she misses a chance, she'll keep going and try and get that next goal. So she'll definitely want that hat-trick at least before she comes off.
Ellie Bishop has stayed down here for UCAF, by the way. So they're missing that focal point up front for the moment. I hope she will be able to continue. Shauna Jenkins should be able to mop this up, but O'Reilly will chase. She has that pace. Shauna Jenkins deceiving with her pace there. And Bishop is still down in the Irish Defence Force penalty area, so the ball has been played out of play. And Bishop will now be able to receive some treatment. A big blow for Bishop here if she has to come off, because this was her big chance in the centre forward position.
The ref could have saved a good bit of time there and just asked her physio to come on rather than jogging himself.
Yeah, there is that. Kira Boylan's making her way over her Navy teammate just to check on Bishop.
Yeah, I think she's hurt her calf there.
And Bishop's gone back down, so this isn't looking good for the promising Navy player who's been okay today, not really been involved as much as she'd have liked to have been.
Physio!
The linesman says to the physio,
Don't want you.
come back, you're not wanted. Hurtful.
I think it just looks like a bit of cramp. So, as we said, she's trying to come off the left first half, get involved in the game and kind of pick up pockets off the left-hand side, whereas now she's asked to do them runs in behind. So.
And unsurprisingly, Carl Millgate sees this as a warning sign with the 2 games in 2 days and brings the changes coming. And number 20, Jade Widow's about to come on. I can see Pitt Wilson about to come on. And as well as that, Lucy Farrow's about to come on. So 2 attacking options from the RAF, 1 from the Royal Navy. Demi Edwards, his day is done. A very impressive performance from Demi Edwards on the score sheet.
Yeah, she had a great game today. She was getting on the ball, causing a lot of problems.
And she will be very frustrated with this. Libby Dixon comes off at only 2 goals. Yeah. But again, a very impressive performance.
Yeah, I'm sure she wanted to stay on and get that third, but another 2 goals for UCAF, she'll be happy with that.
And Ellie Bishop limps off. So 3 changes for UCAF. And I mean, they've replaced goals with goals. A hat-trick in the in-services for Jade Widdows, 2 for Pitt Wilson on Tuesday. And we know Lucy Farrow can find the net too, so...
I think the UCAF staff will be delighted being able to bring... That's your last 3 subs bringing on into a game. I don't think the Irish defence will enjoy playing against them for the last bit of play here.
That is all outfield subs on for UCAF, as you say. They could bring on Emily Gascoigne, who did start against the Dutch on Tuesday, so maybe this is her day off, so to speak.
Yeah, I think they're looking to give them a 90 in each game each, so...
Here's Farrow looking to make an immediate impact. Well defended though from the Irish Defence Force. Really good play from the captain there, number 4, Shannon Thomas. Here's McDonnell. Pitt Wilson now. Wilson playing in that sort of number 10 role that Demi Edwards has vacated. Usually a wide player, Pitt Wilson.
To be honest, I think she's played a lot of football from central midfield at our club last season, Balmere. We used her as a wide player, but she can cause a lot of problems as a 9 as well. So again, another player can play a few positions.
Really good play to find Widdows. The first chance for Jade Widdows, and she gets on the score sheet, back in a UCAF shirt and back in form too. Jade Widdows. It's 5 for UCAF.
Yeah, good composed finish by Jade there, and good bit of play by Pitt, picking up the pocket and just slipping her in.
And that is 5-0 to the UK Armed Forces. Jade Widdows gets on the score sheet. Speaking to her a few weeks ago, she was desperate to make a mark at UCAF level this week, because due to her career choices, she hasn't been able to pull on the shirt as much as she'd like. She's back. She's in with the goals, and we talked about Georgia Carr, we talked about Ellie Bishop and Libby Dixon. Jade Widdows saying, don't forget about me.
Yeah, and I think when you come in as a sub, you want to make an impact, don't you? Whether that's getting an assist or a goal, and she's took her chance there.
Someone with immense quality up front, and if we're really honest, I'm not going to sit here and say what a great finish, because it was quite simple for a player of her quality.
Yeah, but chances like that, you know, people can go through and go and try and smash it, and sometimes it's harder just to remain composed and slot it past the keeper, which she done.
It's that composure that makes the great players great, and it's been a great performance for the UK Armed Forces. Something that the men's team will look to follow next. Well, this evening, 7 p.m, we go live for the UK Armed Forces men's fixture against the Irish Defence Force. McDonnell's done really well on the left here. Can she keep it in, Rosie McDonnell? She's got the pace. Potentially, it's a late challenge, though, from McDonnell. And a handshake afterwards. They are going to get over it, but Carl Millgate will look at that and go, look, we're 5-0 up. Let's not do anything stupid.
Yeah, I think she's just keen to make up for maybe a touch there, and with her pace, she can probably afford to just knock it past the defence and run.
A lot of support and praise for the Irish performance on YouTube, particularly with the the difference in training levels between UCAF and the Irish, and I hope it's come across on our commentary. We have been very impressed actually with the Irish performance. McDonald's crossing though. Widows already got one, looking dangerous potentially for another. Lambert's won it.
Yeah, Irish have definitely not backed off from the challenge, have they? And they've actually not let it affect them when they've conceded either. They've stuck to it. They've had a couple of opportunities with a bit more quality they could have got in as well. So
big support as well for Demi Edwards. Well done, Demi Edwards. Smashed it as always. Superstar. Very good performance from Demi Edwards. And Jade Widows also getting a bit of a shout out too. Go Jade Widows. Cheering from Will and Fred, I believe. Not sure who Will and Fred are, but they are supporting her, and they've seen her get a goal too. She's chased this one down into the corner. Be a goal kick. And at 5-0 up with 15 minutes to go. It's looking good for the UK Armed Forces. You never know in football, but it's looking good.
yeah, I think they can be happy with what they've done so far, but I'm sure coaching staff will want a few more goals in that last 15 minutes and really kick on now. And the subs as well, I'm sure they're ready to go and grab a couple of goals.
Would you, if this was your UCAF team, would you be targeting these last 15 minutes where the legs might go for the Irish?
Yeah, fitness-wise, on paper we should be fitter. So they need to try and use that last 15 where maybe mistakes happen, maybe a bit of cramp sets in, and maybe look to just turn them over the top and try Jade's pace, or even Lucy, Pip, Rosie. I mean, that's a fast front four they've got now.
Pip Wilson coming on immediately, getting an assist as well, should we mention. She's had a good week, despite UCAF's inability to win back the President's Cup. Jenkins to Hayes. Another potential RAF partnership at the back. You've got a bit of a headache next year, haven't you?
Yeah, there's so many good players now, and the Army and the Navy are getting stronger as well. But yeah, certainly at centre half we've got option. Rachel House, and done a great job last year. Obviously Shauna,
really smart
Emma.
turn by Lambert. McDonald on for Widows, and a couple of the Royal Navy players now getting a late cameo to maybe impress. Boylan wanted a throw, turned to the linesman, just said come on, didn't get it.
The number 4 for the Irish has actually enjoyed the runs in behind and the challenge of that, and she's quite pacey herself, so
she's impressed. The captain,
yeah.
Shannon Thomas, she was one pointed out to us, so I will give them credit for that
there
one.
you go.
But she has impressed, and if there's any teams in Ireland looking for a decent centre half, there you go. Pip Wilson. Chance for Farrow. Wilson's there again. Sorry, it was Herbert, sorry. Somebody just put it on YouTube. No chance that the UCAF do as Spurs now, is there? I shall not comment. Smart play though from Nolan. That's much better from her. And it's searched forward towards O'Reilly. Meet and drink for Shauna Jenkins though. Pip Wilson looking to keep it alive. Herbert wins the header. Back and forth at the moment, a little bit scrappy. Substitutes do that when you put on a few substitutes, right?
Yeah, it can take a couple of minutes to settle into the game, and it can become scrappy at times, but
Widow's there with a pass that maybe only her pace could have caught. Good kick again. From this time for the substitute keeper, McDonald straight onto it there, and there's Rosie McDonald breaking through and looking towards the back post, and it's a chance for Farrow, and the goalkeeper's made a sort of save, let's say. It was stumbling, but Farrow probably should have scored.
Really good play by Rosie down the left-hand side, and a nice early ball. And yeah, Lucy will, great touch to be fair, to secure the ball.
Wonderful touch, yeah.
Just that last bit of quality for the finish.
Farrow is a left-footed player, I believe, who prefers to come inside from that right-hand side. Am I right?
Well, we play her off the left and she comes in on our right.
Oh, okay. Two-footed
Yeah,
player.
she's talented.
McDonald not able to keep that alive. This Navy partnership on the left looking to drive UCAF over the finish line as we enter the final 10 minutes. A bit of information on Shannon Thomas, by the way. We've been told that she actually plays in the National Women's League in Ireland for Penmount United. Penmount United, yes.
Yeah, she has impressed there, and she's commanded her defence all day.
Penmount United, sorry. It's a very, very small comment on my screen. But yeah, she has played well.
Yeah, and she's talked them through the game, and she's trying to help the ones around her, maybe the younger ones or the ones that haven't got as much experience as her. You can see she's demanding from her teammates.
That's well played by Herbert wide for Jacobs. He's going to look for that pace again, and Widows is a willing runner. The flag, I think, has stayed down.
Yeah.
Lost the linesman in all of the players, though. Simple for the substitute goalkeeper, Louise Dixon. Jenkins. Really smart play once again, and now McDonald's in on the left-hand side. Players streaming into the penalty area. She couldn't find any of them, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's the last bit of quality into it that UCAF staff will be demanding. Great through ball by Molly there.
Yeah, wonderful play from Molly Lambert. She's had a very good cameo appearance in the second half. Showed that little bit of quality that you'd expect.
Players like Rosie know they can go early because they know that she'll be able to find them.
She's come short this time from Boylan's pass, and that's now into Farrow. Just not quite linking together at the moment, these substitutes up front.
Now you can see what Lucy tried there, but just a bit too much on it. She tried to slip Jade in there. But they're trying to do the right things.
It's a UCAF team that have made 9 substitutes in this game, so you will forgive them for being a little bit disjointed. Jenkins forces Lucia Turner to make a decision there, and does well, the Army goalkeeper. Boylan now to McDonald. Seeing a lot more of this partnership. McDonald was looking towards Pip Wilson, but McDonald doesn't give up on it. A lot of players now looking to force themselves into Carl Milgate's thinking, because even with 2 games in 2 days, people like Rosie McDonald will be sitting there going, why am I not starting?
Yeah, and also there's players at home that haven't been selected or aren't available because of work reasons that will want to challenge for places as well. So there's loads of choice for Carol to pick from. So like days like today, it's important to take your chance when you're here.
Jade Widows asking a lot of Lois Jacobs, and Lois Jacobs gives a lot too. Wins a corner, incredible play from the right back. Weird to see Jade Widows come so deep there for someone who's usually hanging off the last defender.
I think set plays as well have been big today. There's been some great deliveries by Bavs before she went off, and some real good opportunities to score from corners that haven't been taken yet. So I'm sure they'll want a goal from a corner at some point.
McDonald with the in-swing goes towards the back post, and Jenkins, for her, that's a very big chance.
Yeah, I think she was in 2 minds there, whether to go ahead or with a volley, and she kind of caught in 2 minds. But again, another chance from a set piece, another good delivery.
YouTube comment says, my player of the match has to be the UCAF number 2, which would be Nat Bavister. That's a choice that is heard a lot when Nat Bavister plays, regularly up for contention.
Yeah, in the games that I've seen, when I've been involved in military football, I don't think I've ever seen her be below a 7 out of 10. She's always, she always does well.
Maybe the Irish can make one last attack. Unfortunately, Sean Jenkins cuts that out, and now Pip Wilson looking for Farrow. Wilson again. Bit of time now for Pip Wilson, which is always dangerous. Wilson taking on too many, really, but
need to give the number 11 from Ireland a lot of praise as well, because she hasn't stopped running, and at times she must be getting fed up doing all the running and not being supported up there, but she hasn't stopped, to be fair to her.
No, she hasn't stopped. She's played very well. Here comes another raft of Irish substitutes. We have Sarah O'Neill coming on, we have Kira Carroll coming on, and Alison Gibbons coming on. There was a shout out for Alison Gibbons on YouTube earlier, so there we go. She comes on. 22 comes off, Kim Turner comes off, Essie O'Donnell comes off, and Amir Nolan comes off. A substitute being substituted, by the way, there, Kim Turner. She came on late in the first half, admittedly, so
yeah.
Another YouTube comment says, definitely more interesting than the Premier League, no divas here. That might bounce for Widows. Holds off the challenge. A strong challenge it was. Widows is underneath it again though. Needs an option, or does she? Jade Widows does incredibly well. The cross towards the near post.
Keeper done well there, she went and met it.
Yeah, did very well, Louise Dixon. Pitt Wilson hunting around there though, as she always is. Keely Lynch on YouTube says, come on Sarah and Steph, as in Stephanie Keller and Sarah O'Neill, two Irish substitutes. So a lot of support for the team in orange today. Forced forward. Once again, the scrappiness continues in the second half. UCAF had that giant period where they were in control of the ball for seemingly forever. I don't think Ireland or the Irish Defence Forces touched the ball very often at the start of the second half, but it's got scrappier since then. That's wide for Wilson, who is offside. I had a feeling she would be.
Yeah, just a bit of a delay on a pass.
Many thanks go out to the comms team, doing a great job for this game. Hope to see more in the future. Well, that's very... So you can come back now.
That's it, that's my inviting.
We have a central defender down for the Irish Defence Force. I think it might be Claire Foy. Probably a little bit of cramp at this time in the game.
Yeah, and I think he's used his squad well, hasn't he, Carl? He's 2 games in 3 days is a big ask, and he's had to be clever with how he's done it. And I'm sure they had loads of conversations on the minutes each player will take. Yeah,
I mean, it's very easy for a head coach to look at 2 games in 2 days and go, right, I'm going to have 2 teams. But it's not what he's done here. He's integrated the 2 teams, so to speak, really well.
Yeah, and he needs to. I mean, he's a good coach, and he's got Macker alongside him, and Hugh, good experience, and good coaches as well. So they'll have worked out in their heads who they're going to pull off, and besides any injuries that come out.
Foul throw there from Kira Carroll. Doesn't happen very often at this level.
No.
Shauna Jenkins for the very impressive Abby Hayes that we're talking about, player of the matches. She is someone that, not just because of the goal, but her defensive ability all match has been very, very impressive. But we are approaching that period, and I suppose we are the expert. Player of the matches?
I think Demi Edwards has been up there, caused a lot of problems getting on gaps and getting on the ball. Getting Abby on her debut. But yeah, I'd maybe say creatively, Demi.
Yeah, Demi Edwards is probably the person that comes to mind for me, although Libby Dixon is probably going, sorry?
Yeah, sure. Maybe we'll say if she got the hat-trick, she could have had it. But again, Lois Jacobs at right back, first half at left back, so it's been loads of good performances today, which is pleasing.
And while they didn't, well, so far haven't met the 80s great rule from Slough 4 years ago, 5 will do, I'm sure, for the UK Armed Forces.
Yeah.
Callum Campbell says, great commentary from the RAF head coach from RAF Waddington. Well done, O'Reilly at number 11. Yep, definitely. Demi getting player of the match, something's never changed. And that's another UCAF corner. Maybe they can end with something to remember.
Maybe this is a set piece we've been talking about.
Maybe they've already scored from one. We're looking at the number 4, Abby Hayes. 2 goals from a centre back? Surely not. McDonald with a corner. It's towards Hayes. She couldn't meet it though. And they keep it alive with Jenkins. Jenkins' shot is very good and well saved by Louise Dixon. Shauna Jenkins has had nearly as many chances as Libby Dixon.
Yeah, she has a lot of chances for the centre half.
Here's Kira Boylan. Lambert does well. Calm and composed. Gets it back. And now McDonald. Widows making a burst towards the, well, giving her an option really, but McDonald says we'll take another corner. They're listening. They're determined for a set-piece goal. Come on, Widows. Little Harley is watching right now, supporting her auntie. Well, Auntie Jade's got herself a goal. Will she get another one from this corner? Let's see what happens. It will be McDonald with that left foot again. She's come on and come straight onto the set pieces, it must be said, with her quality. Towards that back post, flicked on by Hayes, might fall for Jacobs, charged down really well. And they keep it alive, it's Jenkins again. Looking for Jacobs, it's gone for a offside decision actually.
Yeah, it was. She'd almost been better putting that into the box herself there.
So a very good UCAF day so far. So far, it must be said. I know the men's Irish team that are probably back watching this now in a training camp because they're no longer in that far stand where we're going. So far, let's see what happens tonight because it's going to be a very, very big test for the UCAF men's team under a new head coach as well. I mean, you've just had your first year as RAF head coach. That first game, that first real competitive game is something to be nervous about, right? Widows has done incredibly well, by the way, over from Faro, but that first game.
Yeah, and I think it's trying to start well in that first 10 minutes of the game, and I'm sure the UCAF lads tonight will try and set the tone and set the tempo of the game, and if they do that, confident they'll go and get the win, but it's really important to start that first 10 minutes really well.
Well, we're expecting an absolute cracker of a game. It should be said 2 years ago in Havant, it was 2-2. It was a very late Irish equaliser, and then they took the result on penalties, and it's UCAF taking the result today in the women's fixture. A 5-0 victory, imperious in a lot of ways from Carl Milgate's team. 4 years after his first game, the same opponents have come, and they've really challenged UCAF, but UCAF have rose to that challenge.
Yeah, really well. I mean, they've worked on exactly that and taking their chances, and to be honest, Maka, Carl, Hugh, again, they'll probably be looking at it going, you know what, we could have probably got 8 or 9, but you take a 5-0 win, don't you? Especially after that disappointment.
You take a 5-0 win.
Off that penalty defeat, they'll definitely take that.
This will ease that little bit of pain.
Yeah, I know it hurt him, and I know he'll want to make that right, but as we said, it's a lottery into penalties, whereas today was good composure from the girls.
Yeah, a lot of good composure, particularly in those attacking positions. The goal scorers for anyone who missed the first half, in particular, where UCAF rattled in 4 goals. 2 for Libby Dixon, 1 for Abby Hayes from a corner, and 1 for the very impressive player of the match, Demi Edwards. In the second half, UCAF played really well in the first 20 minutes, couldn't get any joy, and the Irish really pushed them. A very good second half Irish performance. But Jade Widows did break through to make it 5. And UCAF, after a week of pain, potentially a lot of flying, it must be said, they've come here and they put on a show.
Yeah, it's a big ask what they've went through. Again, like we said at the start of the game, logistically, getting back in time for the game and kind of organising it all, and performance-wise as well.
We're going to try and get a word, I think, with the UK Armed Forces head coach. I think Carl Milgate is just going to do a quick little talk to his team and then speak to us, speak to John Knighton, and we might be getting a word with the captain potentially as well. In fact, we're not. We're going to get the player of the match, I believe, Demi Edwards. How fitting. A player who has run the show for UCAF. And the very good central defence wall that was Abby Hayes, who got a goal. So let's speak to both of them now. They're both with John Knighton.
Okay, I've got Abby and Demi with me. Congratulations, girl. Brilliant performance today, and on the score sheet as well.
Yeah, really happy to finally get on the score sheet, but more importantly, obviously, we won the game. So yeah, girls are happy, aren't they?
Yeah, very happy. That's what we came here to do. We came to win, so yeah, just good to get a goal.
That was some header towards the end of the first half.
Yeah, I don't know how I got up to it, to be honest. It was a brilliant cross, so deserved the finish.
It's been a busy week for both of you, obviously, and the whole squad, obviously, with the games out in Holland and coming here 48 hours later. So how have you managed to cope with it?
I think we recovered as much as we could yesterday, but I think it was on everyone's minds a little bit. Obviously, losing on penalties, a bit tough to take, but we made up for it today.
You certainly have, and a debut time for both of you, I think, as well today, isn't it? So how fantastic to play for UCAF.
Oh, it's brilliant. It's, it's an honour to be here, so it's just nice to be able to get out and do the job.
And obviously for the whole squad here, it's been a real squad performance of the second half, virtually a full change of team.
Yeah, I think we needed it because it's a hot day. Parts of the game were a little bit slow, but yeah, we made up for it. Put 5 goals away, was it?
It was 5, yes, yeah. I know that you obviously played the Irish Defence Forces a few years ago. I think you got 8. They've improved, haven't they?
I wasn't here 5 years ago.
Yeah, no, they have. They're definitely. Yeah. They were a lot stronger today, actually. I think they didn't stop. They kept the ball quite well at times. So yeah, definitely stronger than they were 3 years ago.
Okay, well, congratulations. Obviously tonight we've got the men's game. You're going to come back and cheer the boys on later on.
Yeah, definitely. Of course we are. We'll be here. Yeah. Come on, the boys.
Okay, Abby and Demi, thanks very much for joining us. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Well, that was Demi Edwards and Abby Hayes, 2 goal scorers today, player of the match, and a central defender that run a very, very close as well. I would say a touch of class while that interview was happening. Colin go around, shook every hand of the Irish players, congratulate them on a very good performance. And shaking John Knighton's hand there, I think, as well. So
yeah, he's a good guy, and he's went over and shook all our hands there. And
we're just trying to figure out when exactly a trophy lift is going to be happening. So there is a very, very nice trophy sitting to our right at the moment that UCAF will get their hands on. But we're not quite sure exactly when that's going to happen. If it is going to be a little while, we might put it up on our socials, but we're going to try and hang on maybe and get the trophy lift. We're told it will happen any minute. So let's just talk a little bit about the Irish team, because they've come here today and it's a daunting task, isn't it, when you go into a game where you know you're not necessarily favourites, is probably the best way to say it. It's tough to go into a game knowing you could get 7, 8, 9 put past you.
Yeah, and they've turned up today, and I think they'll be happy with how they performed, especially second half. Second half they came out, that they've been hard to break down, and they'll take something from the game, and then next time they want to cut that down again.
It's very similar to something we've seen in rugby union with the Royal Navy women's team, who have been growing and growing and growing, and they've took some beatings over the years, but each year they get better and better and better, and maybe that's something this fixture, if it becomes a tradition, could see the Irish do.
Yeah, and I think that's important, isn't it? Like, you're not going to win every game, and if you do lose, you need to learn from it, and they look like they've learned from the 8-0, and then they need to learn from this one.
Felt like they learned throughout the game as well.
Yeah, they seem to grow into it, especially second half. Now, I don't know whether that was maybe because of the subs, but they've done well.
Well, the UCAF team having a huddle, and words from Maka, the assistant manager, who's had a very good year himself, by the way.
Yeah.
Led Wolves to the FA Cup quarter-final, so close to a semi-final, and in his league campaign has had a very, very good year. Someone who is very much one of the best UCAF coaches, best coaches in forces football out there, and women's football in general.
Yeah, he is, and he'll be determined for Wolves to go and take that next step next season, and it's a difficult league they're in. You've got Burnley, you've got Newcastle coming up, but he will no doubt have already been working on some signings, and if he gets the ones he wants in the door, then I'm sure they'll push to that next step. And if they win the league this year, there's no playoff, they're straight up. So this year is massive for them.
Looking ahead to the rest of the year for UCAF, we know they plan a big remembrance match. We expect that. But there's also this year the quite tantalising tie of a German team coming over, and that is going to be a big night for these teams.
Yeah, if they can make that happen, then that's always a big fixture, isn't it? So I'm sure they're desperate to make that happen. And again, working in the background, I know the amount of work that Carl puts in when it comes to UCAF, so I'm sure he's trying to sort that as soon as he can.
And while it's middle of the year for everyone else, this is sort of the end of the year for this team and for these players, sort of the last big meet of the season, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a nice way to finish off now, and players will get a bit of rest before that next season comes in.
And well, they've earned their rest. Big week, they've earned their rest. A lot to come later in the year, and of course not just that, you have the rest of the football season in terms of the services. You guys will get going again. When's your next meet?
So we're going to meet late August, start of September, and yeah, bring them back in and hopefully push on from last season, because the Navy and the Army will both want to push on now. I know the Army have had a change in management. I know Glenn at the Navy will want to push on and challenge as well. So it doesn't get easier; it gets harder every year, and that's the next challenge now, is to try and go and defend it.
And yeah, I mean, you're the target to be shot down now. 2 years in a row, the RAF champions. That they will be desperate, the Army and the Navy, to stop that from happening again.
Oh yeah, and they've got really kind of players like Lois Jacobs for the Army, players like Anna Butt-Russell, who's not here, players like Kira, Rosie. They're the type of players that will drive their teams on, Babs. So they'll push on, and we know that's coming, because we wouldn't expect any less, and we look forward to the challenge and another good season of football. And like you said, football's getting better every year, and as long as military football is improving, then we're making the right steps.
The 2024 inter-services might just be the best yet. Let's see where we get to. I mean, whether you win or lose, the quality will be there, I'm sure. The UCAF team still in their huddle. A lot of the leadership of the team now starting to get their message across. I saw Kira Boylan talking. I think Nat Bavis has spoke. Cat Beaver, I'm sure, has spoke.
Yeah, and do you know what? When you've got characters like Bavs, Kira, Beeves, you can allow them to talk at times, and do you know what? You tell them what you're thinking, because these players are well respected, and the younger players, the less experienced ones, will feed off their comments.
Trophy list should be coming your way very soon, and with the performance that UCAF have given, we deserve to see this in all its glory, I think. And I can see the UK Armed Forces Secretary walking in front of me, who will be hoping this isn't the only trophy lift that UCAF have today.
Yeah, and that President's Cup, I want that back.
Yeah, we'll want that back next year, I'm sure. And there is a trophy awaiting the UK Armed Forces this week, no matter what. They couldn't get two, they got one though. A very good performance here against the Irish Defence Force. 5-0 victors if you are just joining us. And we are going to stay to watch this trophy lift. I'm sure there'll be some words for both teams and the referees, but this is where we're going to say goodbye from the commentary team. Make sure you guys do join us this evening at 7 p.m. for the men's fixture. It is going to be one for the ages. And Chris, quickly, I'll say thank you so much for joining us. You're welcome back, according to the comments. So
perfect.
We'll have you back.
See you for the German again.
We'll see you, and let's let UCAF have their moment. Win us today by 5-0.
Right, ladies and gents, can I just have your attention for literally it'll be 2 or 3 minutes maximum, because I know you want to get inside and get changed and that. First of all, thank you for a great game of football. I thought the second half was brilliant, really competitive. Thank you for that. I'll just introduce you to the chair of UK Armed Forces Football, Brigadier Lee Drummond, who's going to say a few words. Thank you.
So I'll just reiterate what Gaz said. What a fantastic game. What a fantastic setting, really competitive and played in a marvellous spirit, so well done. Really, really enjoyable to watch. As ever, a few thank yous. I promise I won't take too long, but certainly thank you to Quorn FC for the provision of all the facilities today. It's been absolutely fabulous. Provision of the weather has really just topped it off. It's been fantastic. Secondly, thanks to our sponsors, Avanti, for certainly from a UK Armed Forces perspective, for providing the sponsorship that allows these fixtures to happen. Without them, it really wouldn't be possible with the financial climate we're all in. And then before I thank the teams, thanks really to the officials, because again, without them turning up and giving up their time to be able to referee these and run the lines on these games, we just couldn't run them. So thank you very much indeed. And then finally, thanks to the teams, and particularly thanks to Bruno Campion and the Irish girls for coming across from Ireland to play in this fixture. Really fantastic second half, and again, just brilliant to see us out playing sport on a sunny Wednesday afternoon. So thank you very much indeed to everyone who's taken part this afternoon, and again, just thanks to Quorn FC for hosting such a fabulous event.
So I'd like to say congratulations to the UK Armed Forces who win the Friendship Trophy. If you'd like to go out, give the Brigadier will present you the trophy.
Thank you.
Good.